So I'll slurp for a bit before we start the Black app. Every time I say the Black app, most with the Black album. It's low-key a gem. At least half of it is anyway. Well, the other half of it just sounds outdated. But boy, there's some bangers on that thing right there. I'm gonna tell you back in my day, boy. Got no recommendations. Get a sound check popping up. Sound check popping up. Check, check. Get a sound check popping up. Sound check popping up. Sound check popping up. Sound check popping up. Nope. Sound is pretty low over there. Try this again. Hello. Oh my gosh. Do you think you could tell the difference between banana chips and plantain chips? Think you could tell the difference between banana chips and plantain chips? Check, check. What's up, Dropkick? Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. Like, mic seems pretty low. Game seems pretty low. Check, check. What's up, Dropkick? And when we get a host, the host will be pretty low as well. The problem is I can never tell when it's going into like overdrive, just straight up distortion. There's no way for me to like get like constant feedback. I can't even tell. Human nature. Don't sue me. Right, let's see what we can. It's true. A dance battle on TikTok. It's going back to their roots, isn't it? We're gonna have a dance battle. A battle of flaming. Oh nope, that's not what I meant. Flailing limbs. Bloody hell. Flaming limbs is a little bit suspicious. Something completely different. Alright. Oh wait, yeah. We need to check our audio for that side of things too. Make sure we can be heard. Come on, so slow to load. Audio. Audio. Oh, why is that flashing like light in the background? Oh well, it's just green anyway. Cool, let's do this. Ah, I forgot my drinks. Oh yeah, that was nicely done, my boy. Lord have his mercy. Come on. Blam. Hey, what's up, Ellie? No, he shouldn't be able to power through that attack like that. Doesn't even make sense. And he did it again. That should have stopped him in his tracks. No, what a press X. No. I'm good, how are you? Let's tap up that like, let's get it all sent out. do a little mic test in a sec. Actually, let's get the mic test done now since we're loading in. Mic check, mic check. Is it? What happened to the old place? What happened? What's the story? Still sniffles. Join. Yo. Go ahead, let it go. Okay. We want audio coming from here. Check, check. 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 Yeah. And audio on that side. Check. Can turn up maybe a little bit more. Alright, hopefully on the red app you can see. Or you can hear. Oh, why? What happened to you? What did you do? I vaguely remember you telling me something a long time ago. I can't remember what it was. I think you said you was locked out of your house. Maybe that's someone else. Oh, I forgot to drink the drink again. He's gonna shoot me. Oh, that's weird. Oh, you live in like a militarized zone or something? Or like a civil servant type of place? I forget what they call it. Like how armies have camps kind of thing. Oh, is that what it's actually called? Just keep circling. I mean, I could beat this guy. I've been beaten before, but that's not bad advice. Except for the fact that I'm getting chomped. Nope. Oh, poor timing. I hate that you can just move off of that so fast. That's annoying to me. Also annoying to me is how slow my character is in the DLC. It's like he's just sluggish for some reason. He goes from main game like just basically bullying everybody to DLC and just barely making it. The scaling is brutal. Oh, he should not be able to do that! He doubled down. Oh, really messed up my pattern. Well, he's not even drank yet. There he is. No! Just off the tip. No, no one's called in yet. You can always request up. I will be talking about the topic, but the stream literally just started, so I want to talk to you. You hit that request button, which is a pink man and a blue man, or a pink lady and a blue man, or a pink man and a blue lady. Nope, that was dumb. Yep, he's got me. Why am I so slow against him? I don't understand it. One more. Yes, boy. Tucked him away. Alright, that was technically boss 2. We skipped boss 1. Folks, if we could, let's tap that screen, repost and share so we can get some people over here talking about the subject. The Great Sword of Solitude. Have a drill going. What's the deal? You agree? Why'd you agree? I can't see your name though. Double dibble. Why'd you agree? Right, now let's locate our first fight. Well, the first fight should have been over in some woods I kind of skipped past that. If you don't know what's going on, wait, can you even hear me? Because I've exited that. Yo. Yeah. So I'm doing the DLC again, but I'm doing it in trying to do it in chronological order of the bosses, because I missed out on a lot of fights last time. Stepdad's putting them up because you're lazy. So who is the police in your family then that allows you to live in a police state? Is it you or is it someone else? So apparently it's here, but it doesn't really make it clear whether it's early game or not. Personally, I don't even think the Bible is good proof that God exists. I think it actually works against proving the existence of God, if anything. I think most religious texts actually make it harder to believe in a God than easier when you actually think about it. Religious texts, they lower the probability of a God like that existing. Stepdad's the copper. Nice. Try. There we go. Yeah, a lot of people seem to do that, right? A lot of people seem to do that. Like they got this view, right? So in modern times, there's a lot of ridicule that comes with being religious. So people try to distance themselves from the institution, but still like purport the ideas and stuff. So you got like people be like, "Oh, I'm not a Christian, but I follow Jesus." Like that's literally what a Christian is. What? It's like a certain level of shame. But I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing because that means they might be aware of the history of their institution. But usually it's not. It's just like, oh, this is kind of it's like a sort of shame thing. They don't want to be associated with it, but yet they use it. It's very weird. Felixo, nah. Pyramids prove that Africans are smart. That's all it proves. Higher power is that's just cope, bro. It's absolute cope. That's all the pyramids prove, bro. That Africans are smart. Why would you believe something with no evidence, religious or not? You really have no proof. That's a good point, Gabriel. It's a very good point. Now, I can't say I take an evidence approach in all things in my life, but for like ridiculous claims such as gods and supernatural powers, you kind of got to start somewhere, you know? Or else I might as well believe anything. Just absolutely anything. I said pyramids are proof of a higher power. Jokes. But I did send you an invite, so feel free to come up and educate me about it. I don't necessarily think we exist because of a coincidence, MPD. You can come up and talk to me though if you want to be a bit more accurate. I don't necessarily think it's coincidence. I just don't see good evidence to think that there's a God as a Bible or a Quran or, you know, whatever text describes it. That's responsible for it. Like Tiddy, that's funny. Your name's funny too, but that's funny. He said he saw a meme that said God created humans because he realized dinosaurs wouldn't worship him. That's funny. That's crazy. Oh, you guys missed the stream earlier on. There was some guy who called himself an Apostle Wycor, right? He was saying some crazy stuff about dinosaurs and asteroids and stuff. I was like, right, let's just let this guy get it all out. He was saying some crazy stuff. Didn't even know where to begin to approach what you were saying. Like the minute I interjected, he was like, "No, you got the spirit of the devil!" Like, God, he's just going crazy. What do you mean the missing scientist? That's convenient, right? There's missing research and missing scientists. That's quite convenient, isn't it? What you say? That's almost a conspiracy. Like, what are you trying to say? No, I don't need to pretend to know how the pyramids were built. The fact of the matter is, Africans built the pyramids. That's all there is to it. How they did it, you can try to figure that out. I'm sure there's some architects and engineers that have got good examples of how they did it. But the fact of the matter is, the pyramids are there because Africans built them. That's all there really is to it. What do you mean, Charles? I mean, I don't know if there's for sure. I think we can, like, we're entitled to believe that, but I put it to you like this. In terms of possibilities, the human imagination can do all kinds of wondrous things. Like, we are a wonder in itself, right? If there was like some other species counting the wonders of the earth, we'd probably be number one, I think. But that being said, it's valid that we can dream up possibilities and even think, the possibility might even lower itself to a probability. But we shouldn't necessarily walk around acting like that possibility is a concrete thing and then building a whole world on it. Just because it's a possibility, It's just like the same when I was joking with the guy to like show him the extremes of what he's saying, the pink milkshake theory. Is it a possibility in the human imagination? Yes. But should I act on it as if it's a concrete reality? No. Well, unless there's some practical use for it. Trying to sell milkshakes or something. I could study a sphere and say that toenails are fake. What do you mean? That's a good point as well. I like, right? That's more of a critique on religion. Because put it like this, in terms of like what I was just saying with possibilities, it's possible that a type of, like, let's call them a god. It's possible that an unknown entity created this whole thing, but then to go a step further and say, oh, this unknown entity wants you to go to heaven or hell after the fact is like, it's extra sauce that's unnecessary. Like, it's hard enough already to believe the unknown thing is responsible for this. And then you give me a story and tell me it's true because the Bible says it's true. And I ask, how do you know what the Bible says is true? Because the Bible says it's true? Now you're just like stretching my patience. MPD, come up here. Let's talk about this, bro. I don't think it's possible for a God to give you free will. Nah, I disagree, Apple user. You can say good and bad are just human words, but I don't think good and bad exist as unique substances, like standalone substances. But yeah, again, that's the same kind of religious issue that we're having here, right? Oh, 1 second, MPD. Right, it's to go a step further. Anyway, forget the point. Let's just talk to MPD. Yo.
Yo.
How you doing, bro?
How you doing, bro? I'm good.
Not too bad. All right, so what do you want to talk about? I saw you say some interesting comments, but it'd be much easier to talk this way.
Yeah, bro, for sure. What caught my eye really is just like how you said humans invented God.
Mm-hmm.
Like, me personally, as a Christian, like, who has been saved by God.
Oh, how would you know?
How would I know?
Yeah.
It just happened.
How would you know, though?
Happened. Like, okay, so me personally, I was born with this condition, right? It's I forget the name of it.
Damn, it can't be that bad then.
No, so
I'll just play,
it's
bro.
not the worst. It's not the worst of the worst, but I pretty much had baby teeth until I was 18.
You had the chiclets. What? Wait, what?
Yeah, so I was stuck with baby teeth until I turned 18.
And then what happened after that?
My parents, they got a surgery for me pretty much to get them fixed. Yeah,
that's interesting.
But before that,
that must have been jokes.
Jesus came into my life before that.
Okay.
He did.
How do you know, right? So give me the scenario. How did it go down?
So
how did it go down?
I wasn't.
Someone.
I didn't choose him. I didn't go to him.
You said he chose you, yeah?
Basically.
Oh, I see. So chosen people, special favorites, and all that kind of stuff.
I wouldn't say that. I don't think he has favorites.
You're saying a one-of-a-kind magical creature chose you to interact with over billions and billions of humans. That's kind of special treatment, bro.
No, not that. I don't think it's like, that's not what I'm really saying.
But it is.
I gotta tell you the full story. You don't even know the full story.
All right, let's go. Let's do this.
All right. So pretty much, I was in English class my junior year of high school, and my English teacher, he actually murdered somebody.
Oh my
He was
gosh.
yes, he is a murderer. And a
Jeez.
murderer helped me give my life to Christ.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now the hallmark story has begun. Look, let's go. Let's go. What's the rest of it?
yeah. So pretty much he prayed over me. He initiated like not I wouldn't say initiated, but
Bet
he
you were
pretty
scared to
much like
death. I bet you were scared to death.
oh, I
Oh my
was
gosh.
petrified.
I
I
bet
was
you were scared
petrified
to death.
because he was like explaining something. He was talking about how like um how important gut health is in the English class, right?
Okay.
Like how important it is for you to take care of your body and stuff like that. Well, which I agree with,
Well, sure, certainly.
um but you know, he's talking about gut health and he's asking this question like if this is like resonating with anyone, like please raise your hand, like, and I was the only dude in like the whole class to raise his hand.
Bro had you hypnotized, bro.
Like literally. So
It's kind of wild. But go on.
after class, after that class, he told me to stay after class a little bit, and that's when
It's
like
getting a little bit dark. Yo.
no,
I'm joking.
he just
I'm
wanted to
joking.
pray with me.
Hey, yo! Hey, yo! Hey, yo.
So he said a
He,
quick
he said
prayer
he
over
said
me.
pray, guys. He said pray. Pray with me.
Yeah, he just wanted to pray with me
Pray. Just
and
to
like pretty
clarify.
much give my life to Christ.
I'll let you up in a minute, Charles. You haven't requested, but we're trying to hear MPD's story.
But like that's not the only kind of strange thing in my life that's happened when it comes to like my Christian faith. Like I used to play lacrosse in high school,
Lacrosse, you
and
know. It sounds like the perfect storm. You're gonna grow out of all of this. I have faith that you'll grow out of all of this. But go continue.
I used to wear like a cross necklace to practice every day, just because out of like my mom bought it for me, and like I don't know, it was like a $300 chain, like it was pretty expensive, but
Yeah.
I used to get nervous I would lose it, and one day like my chain snapped during practice, and then after like a month of a whole bunch of different weather conditions, snow, I'm talking every type of weather you can imagine, like rain, snow, all of it. A month later, my teammate looks down at the goalpost and he picks up my lost chain pretty much. And I found the chain the day I lost it, but the cross attached to the chain was missing.
Okay.
So he looks down at the goalpost a month after I lost it,
You know,
and he picks it up, and the first person he asked was me. Like, yo, Matt, this is you. Like, this is you, right? Like, this is yours. I'm
yeah,
like,
I'm pretty sure you would
yo,
have saw
no
it.
way. Yeah.
I mean, that's not impossible. That's it's quite likely given the probability. You know.
I'm not saying that like I'm not saying it wasn't a coincidence, but I personally don't believe it.
I mean, fair enough, right? So you're saying that's all it is that's convinced you. A teacher prayed for you. You lost a chain and you found the chain, and that's all it is.
No, and also, like, I feel like it's also it's free will. You know, you're born with the natural ability to choose God, to choose to believe in Him. He's never gonna force you to believe in Him.
I don't know. I would say that's untrue. Like, if you're gonna subscribe to a Christian God as well, that entails a lot of problems.
I mean, I get where you're coming from, for sure. It's
Yeah.
hard.
A
It's hard
Christian
because
God, you can't really have free will with a Christian God. At least not like true free will. So
I
that's
see what you're
kind
saying
of
there.
difficult.
I see what you're saying there,
You
and
know?
that's why I think that it's all a choice. too at the end of the day.
How can it be, right? If you think about it like this, right?
Because it's your choice to.
Yeah.
It's your choice. Like
So you can
like
be
the.
under the illusion that you're making a choice, right? Or being coerced the whole time. But
I agree with you
all
there.
you need
I
to
agree with
do
you
is
there.
not feel as if you're being coerced, but the choice could still not be yours. But based on like the Christian version of it, God's will would be the ultimate will, so he'd be the overarching will, and then a human's will would be subordinate to God's will. The devil's will would be subordinate to God's will. So anything that could happen, that would happen, is because God willed it so. So from that point of
Yes.
view, you couldn't actually have free will. So it would be God's will that He wants you to know Him or not know Him. So either way, it's kind of out of your hands in that kind of way.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I see what you mean there.
so there's that.
That's a really good point. You know.
You know? So there's that.
But also, if you have the faith, I feel like if you even, it says in the Bible, even if you have a mustard seed of faith, like,
Yeah.
you know,
I think
you
that's
will.
not just applicable to God though. That could be applicable to anything. You know,
Yeah.
could be like, oh,
True.
we're going up against a championship team today. You know, all you guys just got to believe in yourself just a little bit, just in a tiny bit of faith, and we can push this thing over. You know, it's like the rice grain that tips the scales. Just it's the same kind of thing. It's just that just speaks to human psychology, not necessarily what a supernatural entity might require from you. You know.
It's also kind of like how you view it. If you, if you believe that, if you genuinely believe that, you know, because Christianity was created by humans. It
No
was.
doubt. No doubt.
It was. But it's up to you to decide to put that faith in those humans if they were telling the truth or not. I feel like.
I mean, yeah, you could look at it like that, but I think before you go about putting faith in what they're saying, is at least try to examine what they're actually saying, you know, and how you can verify or not verify the things that they're telling you before you decide to give faith.
Hmm.
And if there's
That
not like,
and you're allowed to do that. You
well,
know.
yeah, of course, who's going to stop you?
Exactly.
Yeah, who's going to stop you? But in this, I
For
say that as
sure.
a joke, but the reality is, yes, plenty of things will stop you. Think you got to think about your childhood
Like
indoctrination, where
the
you come
consequences of
from.
your own actions too. Like
That could be
me
a
personally,
consideration.
coming from experience, like literally, I'll be open and honest with you. Um, Straight up, I one of the biggest things I struggle with, at least, is lust. If we're looking at
Oh,
from like a biblical standpoint, I
yeah.
do struggle with. I'm never gonna claim to be perfect, obviously, but
Oh, there's no such thing as perfect, though, is there?
mhm.
There's nothing in
but
reality that's perfect.
lust is
Not
very,
even
but
God.
lust in itself kind of, I feel like for me, my lust gave me my fear of the Lord also.
That's a very strange view. You could say that there's like, do you know what? Before I say too much crazy stuff, right? Because I'm not gonna say nothing too
Hmm.
crazy, but I think an issue like that is well worth talking to a therapist about, because feelings of guilt and
Oh yeah, no, and I've
psychological
been to
hang-ups
therapy.
about
I've
your
been to
nature and
therapy.
stuff
I've
like
done
that
all of that.
is well
Yeah, I've
worth
done all
talking
of
to a
that
therapist about.
for
So
sure, for sure.
so that being said,
Yeah,
right, we
I
do
agree.
view lust or lustfulness as a vice, right? So there are vice and there vices, there are virtues, right? But that being said, the capacity to express lust isn't actually a bad thing. It's just a human thing. Now, if
It's not.
you, oh, of course it is.
No, no, no. I mean, like
Oh,
it's not a bad thing. Like
yeah. It's it's
that's
it's
ours.
it's it's whether you act on it and what the outcomes will be of your actions. That is the consideration when things can go downhill. But just the
Hmm.
capacity to express lust isn't actually a bad thing. It's a human thing. At the base of what humans are, right? There's a thing in psychology called the id, and one of our drives, like our base primal drives, is to reproduce. That is
Yes.
actually where lust plays into it. Right? Now, there's lust where you can take it a level deeper and be like, oh, it's you're coveting another man's wife. That's like a different kind of societal type of view, you know.
I
But
feel you.
on a primal level, it's just like, oh, I like the look of that lady. I want to mate with her. That's really what it is, animalistically. But if we
Yes.
build up everything on top of that ergo, the ego, then super ego, etc., that, like I said, that's why it's worth speaking to a therapist about this who could explain it way better than I could possibly explain it. But
I understand. Yeah.
I would say it's dangerous to like, you're like psychologically persecuting yourself through the lens of a religion before you even understand yourself as a human, right? And that could be dangerous developmentally,
Well, yeah, I see where you're coming from there.
because you're looking at yourself as something. There's something wrong with me, but the only reason you're thinking there's something wrong with you is because of the influence of the religion. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But naturally, it's not actually anything wrong with you.
Yeah, I know, and I actually exactly know what you're talking about because when I was a kid, I dealt with that like a lot. I hated myself for no reason, like all the
It's
time.
kind of rough. It's kind of
It
rough.
is. It is. But you learn. For me, I learned to kind of like get not almost. I don't want to say get over it, but I learned to live with it. I feel
Yeah.
like that's what most other people they kind of learn to live with it too.
Yeah, because we cope in a funny way and in a real way. We cope, right? Hence, like
do,
a big
yeah.
part of what religion is designed as cope. And I know we say it as a joke, but in reality, that is exactly what it is. So it's just like, oh, there's the dragon. Can you hear me, bro? Because I can hear myself. Yo. I think bro's been banished to the dark side. Alright, MPD, I'm going to give you like a couple seconds to come back. I'm going to drop you. Give Charles a chance to come up.
I think it's because my phone's about to die.
Oh, okay. I can hear you now.
I plugged in my phone. I think that was wrong.
Alright, cool. But right, let's talk about the main topic though, right? So I think humans invented God. It says change my mind. What reason should I think that God exists?
Genuinely, he loves you.
Ooh, that's kind of question begging. You can't just tell me like something loves me. We're trying to figure out if it exists or not.
Well, say he does exist, right? And you didn't live your life for him. You come to the you're what's it called? The rapture happens, right? The rapture happens.
Mm-hmm.
Say it's tomorrow, say it's whenever, but the rapture eventually happens.
Okay.
And God looks directly at you,
Mm-hmm.
and he asks you, why didn't you choose to follow me?
I mean, this is a wild road of imagination.
I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
But what we're trying to figure out is whether the God exists or not. And then look, if you was just telling me about God, I'm just like a stranger, lived a completely different culture to you, right? And you was to tell me what God is, right? And obviously it would entail him being super powerful, like maybe the capacity to know everything, and all loving, right? Just in general. And let's say he created the world, okay? Just
Right.
based on those things alone, God, like I have no reason to think God would care, you know, in a sense, right? He wouldn't need me to choose him, because to me, I'm insignificant to it. Does that make sense? So the view about like, you know, on Judgment Day, rah rah rah, it's like, hold on a minute. As I kind of explained earlier on, the whole scheme is his anyway. So what difference would it make?
I feel like the difference that it would make is just not. I feel like God is not gonna look at all of your days on Judgment Day and like
I mean, I think
that's gonna determine whether you go to heaven or hell. I don't think that's the truth. I think it's your heart and where your heart is at.
that's a fun story, right? And we've known about that story since like the Egyptians had something about weighing your heart against a feather and, you know, like testing your sins to see what you was like in life. But the reality is, what I'm trying to get to is, how can I explain this? The God wouldn't need to care about you following it. Right? There'd be no reason for it to care like that. That's a human-centered thing. That's an ego thing from humans. Why would a God care? You know? Why would a God concern himself with what you're doing on earth?
If you're just talking about like any God, I'm
No, I'm talking
specifically.
about the God of the Bible too, bro.
Oh yeah, well yeah, I see that, but
He has no reason to
I
care from that point of view. That's like our ego, like imposing ourselves on it.
I see your point, and like where you're thinking like it's all egotistical.
Yeah, why should we think that we're
Yeah,
so special and so significant that God should spend His
that is the
time
truth.
judging whether we
You're
were
spitting
naughty or
facts.
good, right? Why do we think of ourselves so significant to an all-powerful creature in that way? It's fundamentally a human-centered ego thing. So just from that point of view, it doesn't make sense to think that way.
With that is also like not saying that you don't have the right to think like that, but that's just not the truth.
How could
Because
we know? Because
how could we know? Because if you believe that Jesus died on the cross, rose 3 days, and 3 days after rose again, then that kind of defeats your point.
no,
And
no, it
if you have
doesn't.
faith and you believe in that,
You could
then how
believe
can
that
that be
all you want.
egotistic? And how can that be? Then that's the truth.
No, not
Then that's the
necessarily.
truth.
Not necessarily when it
It is
comes
though.
to God's concerns about humans and the afterlife and all those things. That doesn't inform you of any of that.
It doesn't,
No.
because we're not supposed to be stressed about that.
So again, right? So as I understand it, I'm not really walking you through this properly. That's my bad because I'm like fighting the dragon.
It's okay.
Right? But a sin, by a biblical standard, would be a transgression of a moral law that God has given. Okay. If what is in question is the God's existence and the fashion in which the God exists, there's no reason to think a biblical sin is a possibility. So by that kind of viewing, right, the point of Jesus dying for your sins is a mute point anyway. And then there's a further internal critique would be like, wait, hold on, Jesus is an expression of God, as we are creations of God. So why in the world would God need to sacrifice himself to himself on behalf of the things he created? Those kinds of things don't make any sense. Right, but if you're looking at it as a story and you're like, oh yeah, like we're trying to govern mankind to make sure mankind acts good amongst each other, it makes sense. But if you're thinking about it from a God's point of view, which I know is kind of cringe for some people to think about, but if you was to actually examine it from a God's point of view, none of it would make any
No, it's
sense.
because it was the only way though.
No,
It
no,
was genuinely the
that is
only way.
nonsense. Again, that's human
You
ego.
could say that's nonsense, but if I
That is human ego, brother.
that you could say it's ego all you want, but it's not.
All right,
And
so
sometimes you can have an ego. Sometimes
no,
people
it's
are
okay
supposed
to have an ego. It's okay to have an ego.
Exactly.
Don't get me wrong, right? The ego is a necessary part, function of who we are. But I'm saying to like express these views and espouse them as if they're facts is actually like a certain level of narcissistic
Okay.
delusion.
So, oh wait,
Why would
okay,
it?
so I have
No, listen.
I have another
Why would
question.
a god, right, need to sacrifice himself to himself on behalf of some things that he created?
Because this all right, so this is kind of a different. So do you believe in like
It's essentially the
demons?
story.
Do you believe in demons?
No, I don't.
No, you don't. Okay. That's actually not. You're not the first person who's I've heard say that.
Oh,
But
sorry, Charles. Give us like 5 more minutes, bro. 5 more minutes.
I've had experiences where I I've seen the
Folks,
devil.
let's
Like
tap
I've
that screen.
seen. So pretty much like I've had an experience with sleep paralysis one time,
Yeah,
and
that's also natural.
yeah, it is. And I genuinely saw like 6 big figures that I considered like to be demons, and the only thing that
They were your lacrosse teammates.
honestly, yeah, they could have been,
It's
but
all
I was
psychological. It's seeping through. No, I'm just playing.
yeah. I mean, no, because it's happened to me twice. I've, and the only thing that, like, I'm not gonna say the only thing that made them go away was God, but I did say in the name of Jesus, and once I said that in my dream consciously, they did go away.
That's cute and everything, but we know what sleep paralysis is, and it really has nothing to
Yeah,
do with
I
the
know.
existence
Who
of
doesn't know what
demons
sleep
or
paralysis is?
or
Like,
saying the word Jesus. Right? That's cute, but it's actually a
Yeah, I just
fantasy.
find it. I just find, you can believe it's fantasy. It's
Oh,
life for
oh,
me.
it's definitely a fantasy. Because if we understand what sleep paralysis is on a biological level, right, it's essentially your body not waking up yet. You're still in a certain
Yeah, true,
sleep
true.
state, right? That's all it actually
Yes.
is, right? So your mind isn't sending signals to your body. Your body's not reacting to your mind. That's essentially all it is. Okay, and there's a number of things that can cause that. But if we understand that, like you evoking, what have you say it, the name of Jesus to get you out of sleep paralysis, obviously sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Because all
It
that really
does, but
happened is
it's
that your body
just
woke
what I
up.
remember.
Like you fully
I
woke
mean, yeah,
up and you gained
I
consciousness
did.
and you moved your fingers and like it was like the girl from Kill Bill. You wiggled your big toe and everything was fine. Right?
No, but I
So,
didn't though.
so
It wasn't like that.
no, but
It was a
like
different type of sleep
metaphorically.
paralysis. I get what you mean though, but yeah, it's
So
different. I
it's
guess
like
you just have to experience it for yourself to
I've experienced sleep paralysis
know what I.
before. It
You
was
have?
weird. Yeah, it was weird, but it was not.
It's
It was
very
nothing
weird.
magic
Yeah.
to it. Of course, it's weird. It's like it's like you're like a stranger in your own body. Of course, it's weird, but it's
Yeah.
a natural thing. It's just like it's just a natural thing. Like I didn't need to say Jesus to get out of it because here I am. I'm talking to you. Like it's just a natural thing. So it's
I don't
like
know. Maybe I feel like
it's up West
I
Side.
mean, definitely like we're all human beings are on their own different journey, right? So there's not a specific thing that I can say to make you believe in God. That's just I can't do that because I'm a human myself. Like
I think maybe you
I
should start with figuring out what makes you believe in God, and if you find those answers to be satisfactory, then you know what you might need to tell someone else. But if you've never actually
I agree. I'm
examined
only
what it is
18.
that makes you
I'm
believe in
only
God,
18. I'm still a
then it'll be
kid.
problematic for you.
I don't have it all figured out.
Sure, sure. No one does.
I
No,
still
no,
got a
look,
lot
bro.
to
No
learn.
adult does either. Where everyone's winging it.
I know, dude. I
Hence
know.
why we got beliefs in magic men in the sky sacrificing themselves. It's always a big wing, and you'll figure it out one day. Like as I said earlier on, I think you'll grow out of a lot of the things you've said, but that's just my opinion. It might not be true.
Yeah, I don't think I will, but
There's
that's fair enough, man. It's fair enough.
all
I
right.
appreciate you, though.
I appreciate you
I
too,
appreciate you.
MPD.
Yeah,
Focus on your studies, man. Focus on the
I
material
will.
world.
Yeah,
Don't
I
get
see
too
your
caught up
streaming too, man. I
with the
see your
spiritual
streaming too.
stuff.
That's dope, dude. That's dope. I believe in you, man. I feel like
Hey, that's cute.
you're gonna
Thank
do
you.
great things, bro. I
I
feel like you're
appreciate
gonna
it,
do
man.
great things, bro.
Richard, it's very kind of you, bro. You too, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know what you're gonna do. I don't know if you're gonna play lacrosse, but whatever it is, make sure you do it to the fullest. And I take that
I will.
mustard grain and apply it to everything you decide to do. All right.
I will.
Good luck
Thank
to you,
you.
brother. Take care.
You too. You too.
Charles, my boy, you have waited patiently. You have proven worthy. I'm joking. How you doing, Charles?
Yo,
How you doing, bro?
I just want to say I agree with you. That guy didn't really have much of a point to make.
Well, damn.
But I've been through some stuff the past few years. I believed in a lot of different things.
Okay.
About 2 years ago, I lost my best friend. About a year ago, I named my son after him.
Okay.
So obviously, throughout that whole situation, I was trying to believe in God. I was trying to see a reason for it. I was kind of everywhere. I was, at my bottoms. I tried pitting myself and falling into God. And I just think that's one of the main reasons a lot of people go to church or believe in God or,
Yeah, I
just
think you're
think
speaking to
that he's
something.
real.
I think you're speaking to something that's very real in our culture in terms of the reasons people gravitate towards God. But I like to use this analogy, although it's kind of abrasive. You'll find a lot of people gravitate towards spirituality and spiritual beliefs when they're in a psychologically or emotionally vulnerable state. The
No,
analogy I like to
exactly.
give is like in Pokemon when Ash wants to catch a Pokemon. Like he doesn't just say, "Oh, look at Mewtwo there." Like Mewtwo's just chilling and he could just capture Mewtwo. No, he has to send various things to psychologically weaken Mewtwo in order for him to capture him. So what does that tell you? When your cognitive faculties are with you and everything is going good, you're not susceptible to these ideas that you are when you're weak. Okay? But it's natural for humans to want answers to things like that because you're really dealing with emotional problems based on a loss of somebody. And then there's the big question of why. And that loss of somebody also brings your own mortality into question. If them, then why me too, Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree.
So God's kind of helps smoothing over those harsh parts of reality.
Yeah.
But the truth is, who bloody knows? You know, who actually knows?
Yeah, no one knows. No one knows if he's real. I just really wanted to make that point. I really think church and God and Christianity is just a pillow for a lot of people. And you'll see, like, when I go to church, just for like events or because my family's going or something, it's always the richest, happiest people who believe because they haven't experienced the bad that so-called
I don't know.
is.
That sounds on the surface true, but I'd be a hypocrite to say that that's just the case. That's the richest and the happiest.
Yes, for sure.
Because actually, when you look at like the history of colonialism and imperialism, you look at all the countries that have suffered under that slavery, etc. You know, the exploits of capitalism. They are significantly higher in religiosity than the West. So that means where they're poorest, where they're suffering the most, they're the most religious. So this correlates to their resources, you know, how they're able to get resources, how they're able to obtain education. So it keeps them in that state of religiosity also. Whereas over here in the West, you might say, yeah, there's like there's upper class families who thrive off Christianity because they can actually benefit from the gains of capitalism via it, you know. So they don't see the suffering. So to them, it's just like, you know, all magic.
How are you so educated?
Does that make sense?
On this? Have you just studied a lot, or?
Nope, just a normal guy, bro.
Yeah.
Just a normal guy.
No, I 100% agree. I think I was gonna say I think the bottom of the bucket too is they kind of go to church to just fall on something.
Yeah.
That was kind of just a point I wanted to make against the last guy who was in here. He didn't
fair
really
play.
seem like he had much of a point.
Fair play. So what? Do you believe in God or not at this point? You
I'm
undecided?
not gonna say, you know, because I don't want to speak anything bad into existence for myself, and I don't want
That's
to.
rough.
You know, I'm still experiencing life. I'm still getting smarter. I'm making mistakes and learning.
Fair.
Maybe I'll know what I truly believe in a few years or something. But
Fair, right? Right. So appreciate you for coming up, then, Charles, man. Appreciate you for being patient as well.
good luck with all of this, and
Hey, appreciate it, man.
it's cool what you're doing. But peace out.
Take care. Orcel, 6. You were low key there before, but I think you're on my side of things. I think 6. I might be wrong though. I don't think Orcel was here anymore. Hello, Orcel. Oh no, I'm gonna die. I died. Wait, no, I'm not dead yet. Hello, Orcel. Orcel. What's up, bro? How you doing? You're very quiet.
Is it? Am I?
Yeah, it sounds like you're far away from the mic.
How does it sound now?
Sorry, 6. I'm bringing you up next, bro.
Alright, mate. Can you hear me now, bro?
Yeah, I can hear you. A little bit echoey, but all good.
My bad. Yeah, I've just been listening. Just randomly, man. Found you on YouTube.
Oh, you came over from the Red app. Sweet.
Yeah, man.
You're one of the few that make the pilgrimage. Look at that. see, red guys in the Red app just tapping the keys away. It's possible. Right? It's possible. The other side exists. It's not all staged. I'm joking. No, but what's up, though? What do you want to talk about?
Mainly the things that have been discussed, but just diverse into everything. Because, I mean, as I was listening, I'm guessing you're an atheist, right?
Yes, by like standard definition, I would be.
Is it not an appropriate definition? You have a better definition?
I mean, I might be what's considered an agnostic atheist, but just for the like purposes of the conversation, it's easier to just stick with the atheist part.
Oh. Okay. So, for me, I'm a Christian, so then we both know our positions. I would say, what would you say? What's your what's your stance then? You don't believe in God exists? You're not sure? You're not convinced?
Yeah, so as my position is this: all gods are what's called psychological constructs. Simpler terms, just immaterial idea. I don't think those immaterial ideas exist independently of us. Now, I recognize that there are different categories of immaterial ideas and abstract concepts, but God just so happens to be one of those types of ideas that doesn't exist independently of us. So that's my position on it.
Okay. What's the foundation of that belief? What's the evidential
Well, I think
foundation?
I can hear my voice on your mic.
So I don't know if it's because I was listening first. I don't know.
You got me playing on YouTube or something? Yeah, he left. I don't think he can hear.
I was trying to close my.
Well, yeah, I'll try and
I was
talk.
trying
Try
to
and talk
close
anyways.
my.
Can you hear me?
All right. Yeah, I can hear you. Is it too echoey?
No, it's good now. Right, yeah, so you asked me what's the foundation of that belief.
Mm-hmm.
Well, generally, obviously, if you're working from the atheist position, it's a disbelief in God or gods. But what sprang me to the view that humans invented God and God is nothing more than an immaterial idea is looking at some of the historical evidences for the types of gods that humans have believed in the past, and then looking at cognitive theory that supports how they would have made it. And then, like, studying, like, pop psychology, understanding the whys they would have made it. Those kinds of things lead me to the view that God is nothing more than an immaterial idea. Add to the fact there isn't actually substantial evidence for God existing.
Okay. I mean, in my belief, I think the atheistic position is so unattainable that I can even start by granting so many things. Still,
So,
quite effectively.
what does it mean to be
Yeah.
unobtainable?
It's more abstract, but it can't be realistic, because the moment it becomes actually realistic, then a lot of the systems fall.
So,
But
can you
I'll
walk
come
me
back
through
to
it?
that. Yeah, I'm gonna try and walk you through it. Okay, so as an example, let me start by granting, for the purpose of debating, that God doesn't exist. Simply looking at the humanistic view, you have to grant that it's more beneficial for people to believe God exists than not.
Depends, but I would agree with that.
Okay.
Wait, hold up, bro. It's just me and you speaking, and there's only 4 people in here. There's something wrong.
It could be from my point. Maybe because I started listening through YouTube, and then I just clicked to my TikTok and I
All right,
found
so
you. I don't know.
what we're gonna do also, right? If you wouldn't mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna end the TikTok stream, and then we're gonna come straight back and just come straight up on live, yeah. Just come request straight back up, right? You too, 6, because that doesn't look right to me. All right.
It could be from my perspective.
No. I'm looking at the analytics on my side, and it's not adding up.
No
So
worries.
I'm gonna stop the TikTok stream, and we're gonna come straight back, or just request up straight away.
Yep.
Cool. Right, something's not right on it over on TikTok. It's probably because we got some bad people in the background just reporting the stream. Like, people are so terrible like that. But it could be the time of the day. That could be a possibility too. So let's see what we can do. We'll close the app as well, just for. Red app, can you still hear me? Guys can still hear me over there. Excuse me. Is it 2 p.m. at night over there? It's like 7 o'clock here. I just realised how late it is. It's pizza night too. Hopefully, we got a better starting point this time. Oh no. Oh, I didn't do anything. It said it's under review. That's very strange. No, it's not that weird actually. It's TikTok. Alright, so hopefully, is it Orson, I think? And there's 6. Hopefully, request back up straight away. We can pick up where we left off. I'm in the UK, bro. I'm in the UK. So, there's also right there. Just gotta hit that request button, bro. And we'll do a little sound check, and then we'll get back to it. So, what number boss was that? That was boss 4. We want boss 5 next. Demi-human swordmaster Onze. That's not a very inconspicuous name, isn't it? Alright, is there conditions on this fight? Doesn't seem to be. Bro, I can't see the request button. Alright, let me have a look. I don't know why TikTok does this kind of stuff. I can see it on mine. Wait, I'll request. Wait. Yeah, I can see. 6 has got it. Swipe away and swipe back also. I can see. Yeah, there we go. I can see you now. I can see you now. Let's get a little mic test going.
Yep. Is it better now?
Yo. Hello?
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro. I just got to do a quick sound test because we got the app restarted.
No worries.
Yeah, you're good.
No problem. Yeah?
Yeah.
Alright, cool, man.
So
Great chat, man. I'm just gonna say I just, like you said, I just traveled from YouTube just randomly
bro,
scrolling.
don't say that.
So I'm a little bit I'm not like well prepared at least.
Don't talk about the red app too much if you can avoid it. Like TikTok's super jealous. Yeah.
My bad.
That could be one of the reasons why it does that algorithmically, because it'll be like, oh, they're talking about another app, so it suppresses it.
Dang.
I know it sounds superstitious, but the way that AI works is very likely.
Yeah, no, I didn't know about that. But hey, I'm a Christian, so maybe I'm not too far off superstition.
Say again? You're not too far from superstition. I would agree.
Yeah, I'm joking.
So
Actually.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
No, let's walk through. I'm just saying, at least for today, I'm not as well prepared to walk you through everything as I might do if I was more prepared.
No worries.
I'll
We'll
try
just
my best.
consider it just a conversation. So no
Yeah, we'll have
pressure.
a conversation, and then we can keep having more conversation later on as well.
Sure.
No problem. Anyway, so far I had basically the stance I had posed to you was that
Atheism is
from
unattainable.
that's the general side. But the last thing I asked was, I asked if you would concede that even from a humanistic point of view, that it's more beneficial that people believe in God than not.
Yeah, and I said it depends, but yeah, I can see that point of view.
Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to recap. My next question would be, why, what makes you agree, and what are the depends?
Well, I say so. So it goes back to why I think humans invented God in the first place. I find God to be a very useful psychological tool for giving things explanatory power, for expressing like abstract concepts, and for organizing society. So for those kinds of reasons, I think ancestrally, it is better for people to believe in God at that time, but not necessarily currently better, because there's too much answers to the things that God's used to answer.
Okay, so from your perspective, would you say right now, if you could, what's that movie? That moment in Wonder Woman 2 where you could speak to everyone. If you were able to speak to anyone,
I call that
they
King
would
Kai.
immediately. That's what it's called.
Well, you know, like old Dragon Ball Z when Goku puts his hand on King Kai's back and he like transmits a message to everybody. I'm imagining that's what you mean by it.
Yeah, essentially is what I mean. Um, yeah, and everyone will believe you. And yeah, all you have to tell everyone is that God doesn't exist, and they will believe that. Would you make that move?
So say that again.
Essentially, if you could, from your perspective, decide now or advise that from at this very moment, everyone stops believing in any God, would you take that option?
I'd have to consider it quite kind of deeply, but just for the point of the conversation, I'd say yes. No, in the real world, if I was actually presented with that option, yeah, it would require a lot of serious thinking and even asking advice. So, but for the conversation,
imagine.
I would say yes.
Okay, I guess just to cut it short, the point I'm trying to drive at is questioning if you would be at ease with everyone, just completely getting rid of any belief in
Yeah.
God. they might have,
If
right?
you're asking for it to happen right now in 2026, yes, I'd be comfortable with that. Even the law is, even if God actually existed, I still think it would be more beneficial at this point moving forward to disbelieve in God than to believe in him.
Oh, even if God existed,
Yeah, even if he did.
wow, that's a strong stance to take, man. I'm gonna hold you to that stance
Sure.
in our little
I
conversation.
mean, just
But
based on like the quandary you presented to me, I think even if it were to be the case that I knew personally that he existed, but I could tell everyone in the world that he didn't exist, I would tell everyone he didn't exist, and I've got good reasons why.
okay. I'm interested in hearing those reasons, but before I do, I'm just gonna come up front with where I'm going,
Try not to
because
rustle in the
I
mic a bit too much, though, bro. It's like
sorry,
sounds like you're making ramen noodles.
sorry, bro. I'm just baking.
Fair play.
I'm baking. Sorry, my bad.
That's cool.
I go so comfy. All right, let me get back to it. I was saying. So first of all, I posited that for the humanistic perspective, it was beneficial. I guess you're arguing now that going forward it isn't, but at least you can
Yeah,
agree that in the
I've
past
acknowledged
it
in the
was.
past, yeah.
Yeah. But I want to then move on to an individualistic position. It's still unattainable because I'm positioning that
So
no individual
what was the overall
can
argument
live.
for the first part though? What was the point you was getting to?
Oh, well, from the first point I'm going to is
Yeah.
that, well, it was going to drive with the future if you did agree that even going forward, which I'm going to prove going. But the point I'm trying to prove is, if even, which is the opposite of the decision you just made, is even if you didn't believe that God existed, if your intention was for the progression of humans, it will be hard for us to not argue how useful it is, at least for the majority of people, to believe that God exists for a cohesive society.
No, I disagree. I think that was necessary in the past, but for the progress of humans, it's something we have to evolve past at this point.
Okay. Well, that's then that gives us a very good point of contention. At least for the past, we agree, right? So, please let me know your reasons of
Oh,
why
so
you think.
so my point of view is like based on earlier on, like I said, the hyperactive agency detection device, how our ancestors would have assigned agency to elemental things like storms, volcanoes, acts of nature, solar eclipses, etc. From that point of view, it plays a key part in survival of the actual species. And the second point of view, the organization of abstract concepts and then deifying those abstract concepts plays a big part in the development of human like consciousness or human psyche. And then the third part of the anthropomorphizing a god plays a big part in societal cohesion, organizing society, producing religions and stuff. But now those things considered for our ancestors of the past, if we're looking at the progression of humanity, those tools were only necessary up to a
Actually,
certain point. In the future, like not even in the future, as it currently stands, God doesn't suffice as sufficient explanatory power for survival at this point in time. Our our understanding or our ability to use our cognition is sufficiently more advanced than our ancestors, so we don't need gods for our mind anymore. And our societal structures are sufficiently way more advanced, so we don't need to organize around theocracy anymore. So at that point of view, going forward, it would actually hinder humanity's progress to keep playing the role that our ancestors did in society. Right? Gods would slow that down, as they have been, right? Both on a institutional level and an individual level.
Well, then we have to argue on the last two at the very least. The last point you made is that society doesn't need it anymore. You have to substantiate that. So
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the last point you made? Because you gave me 3 points.
Yeah, so point one was assigning agency. Point two was abstraction, deifying abstract concepts. And point three was anthropomorphizing for societal cohesion.
Okay, let's start with that one.
Yeah.
Do you think, I'm guessing your base is that scientifically or technology-wise, we are too advanced to understand the all abstract ideas without needing to deify them?
Yes, to an extent, yeah. I don't think it's necessary for us to deify abstract concepts anymore. At least not in a sense where we start to build temples and shrines and stuff like that.
But how did they do it in the past? I guess that's the best way to understand. If
So-
we analyze how they did it in the past.
We could give an example, like, so let's use the Greek pantheon for an example, right? Prior to Zeus, they were the Titans. The Titans were just like a raw expression of elemental forces. So they would be like a phase one, assigning agency to like elemental things. Then by the time we get to Zeus is both abstract and anthropomorphic, because he has the features of a man, but he also has these other key parts of him, like being a king, etc. Just for the Zeus part. But now within that pantheon, if I'm not mistaken, they bring forth a god called Athena. Athena is supposed to be the embodiment of wisdom or knowledge. Knowledge itself is an abstract concept, so we deified knowledge into an entity that is expressed in the form of Athena. Where humanity is currently, we don't need to do that anymore.
Okay, but the question comes to
We could express
why
it in a
did help
fic.
at
We
the
could
time?
express it in a
Why was it
fictional way.
necessary to understand?
Say sorry.
But why was it necessary at the time? Why did it help them?
I think it
Why
plays a
did it
part
help
in.
them at the time?
I think it plays a part in our human development and our various models of how society was going to be going forward. I think that's why it helped. A person because someone could privately deify something, an abstract concept, but that would only really be useful to them in their privacy. But to be able to deify a concept and then explain this idea to other people through the embodiment of the concept will make it much easier to translate that idea. Back then, I think, because we got sufficiently more advanced vocabulary and technology in speaking.
Well, I would posit to you that the foundation of even not just back in the past, the foundation, like you put it, of us as humans, as we forming thoughts and abstract constructs, the deifying them is still very important. And
Now,
the irony of this is it would always still manifest itself, even if you removed
not necessarily.
all the other form of religions. There will always be a form of dignified, like a form of that.
I get your view, right? But I don't think that's something we can say with any certainty. Especially the what was on the basis of this whole point is what you were saying. If I could transmit a message to everyone that gods don't exist and we would move forward from there, right? We don't necessarily have to think that we would reinvent gods again. Where we are today.
Well, I
This
think
is-
obviously,
there's nothing that says that's the case.
More structured, arguments where we can clearly showcase these things. But just now, as a conversation, I would really highly argue that they would still reinvent them almost immediately, because it's a fundamental human need.
I would agree in some ways, but I don't think it'd be expressed in the same ways that we did it in the past. I think there's better ways to do it
Yeah,
now
there'll be new
through
ways.
other
There'll be new
entertainment
ways, but
avenues
the
or
same
other
process.
educational avenues, right? For instance, like think about inventing a fictional character like Goku or Superman. Back in the days, an invention of a Goku or Superman would be akin to the invention of a Thor, right? Or some kind of, lower deity. But because of how advanced society is now, we can express these abstract concepts in so many different avenues that we don't need to turn them into gods, because people can grasp the ideas that we're pointing to. They don't need an actual representation of the ideas.
Well, but even if you look at it from that point, at the time what it served, it wasn't just to be ideas. It served a lot of other, which is I guess your third point, a lot of societal construction needs.
Right.
So you're right. The concept being made, well, this is my position anyway, is it starts by creating those concepts so you're able to attain abstract concepts in a controlled way. Which is why even for kids, even if you remove God, or you still have to have a Santa form, and you still have to have like
You don't really. I think we
those early childhood. Like,
we kind of
like
undermine our actual capability as humans. I think a child is very they're like what's called. Well, I have the view that children are tabula rasa, so they come in blank, but they're like sponges, so they absorb whatever it is you feed them. So if your ability to explain things is poor, then the child's ability to grasp the things you're trying to explain will suffer too. But I personally hold the point of view, if you like, for instance, if you speak to your child with advanced vocabulary and try to explain really advanced concepts to them at various different levels, they will grow up with a better understanding of the world too, right? Because your vocabulary actually informs your reality, how much you can and cannot see, how much you can and cannot know. So to say that a child would need the God, would need the Santa, would be wrong. That would be us impressing our past experience on the children. So we could create a new way to teach them, which we have.
I don't think we have. It's
Yeah.
still quite essential. There's gotta be a reason why it's worked for this long to maintain
But
society.
it hasn't. That was the reason I was going to say, going forward, because of all of the things that these religious concepts have caused in the past, it wouldn't make sense for them to continue into the future. Right? It actually hasn't worked. It may have worked for the ancestral mind,
Eh?
but not the advanced, like Homo sapien, right?
No, but see, because this is the funny thing. I can say, like, for example, like, even for people right now who don't believe in God, who are more, let's say, more ideologically minded in other ways. So I guess we can go into. I'm not trying to divert, but say people who are fundamentally anti-capitalistic. Even they would like the ideology that you believe in for another reason can start becoming that deified theology.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I think that's
Proving that
I think that's something that we do. We unfairly equivocate things, So yeah, you could say like there are people who hold the view that like Marxist dialectic is its own religion. Right? There are people who hold that view, just like there's people who hold the view that atheism is its own religion or science is its own religion. But I think that's like a false kind of view in the first place. It's fundamentally flawed.
I think some of it. It's not that everyone who's an atheist or everyone who's Marxist is doing it, is holding it as a religious theology, but quite a few are, and the difference. Who are, because if you examine what the main characteristics that govern any other theology, like people who believe in Zeus or people who believe in different things, the religiosity of it is you'll find that they have the same details. It's just the core thing is
It's
different,
dogma.
and it makes them just as religious.
Yeah, of course, but like what I'm trying to say is, people will always organize themselves around ideas and ideologies, But it's one thing to organize yourself around an ideology that centers a material reality, and it's another thing to organize yourself around an ideology that, consists of metaphysical or supernatural things. It's completely different. One is grounded and tangible. The other is,
Well,
down to beliefs. So it's quite different in that aspect.
you gotta remember. Well, you gotta remember, even ideologies are down to beliefs.
Yeah, of course, it's a collection of ideals and beliefs, of course.
Yeah. So the mechanism is the same. I guess the point I'm trying to prove is that mechanism that is needed for religious, that has always been needed in the past, is always active because it's a human need. And
I
my
agree.
point is that you would, even if you, this is my proof that even if you were to punch your old beliefs in God now, 5 minutes later, new ones will be made.
Yeah, that's something you can
Because
think. That's not necessarily
of that
true,
human
but what I think you're actually pointing to is humans and our organizational structures, not gods. Right? Religion is way more about humans, human history, human culture, and human organization than it is about God. So if you take like all gods off the table based on the scenario you gave, if you could transmit a message to everyone on earth and they would instantly believe it that no God exists, you would take God off the table in terms of our organizational structures. So that wouldn't necessarily entail religions resurfacing in the way we understand them today. You will get political groupings, you'll get economical groupings, you'll get societal groupings, right? You'll get sport groupings. We do these because that's how humans function. But if gods are taken off the table, you wouldn't get religions again in the way that you have them today. So that's your
well,
point. Your
actually,
point
I would
doesn't
argue
actually
that you would
carry.
want to get rid of. I would say I would argue that you would want religion to be again, because my overall argument really that I'm gonna get to is that without God, the ability for humans to form those abstract beliefs and believe them because they are intangible is really important for society. And I
Yeah, I
say
think it
that they are
was in the
formed
past,
from
right?
that. Some argument is it still is, because my argument is that no human, it's unattainable for anyone at any time to truly live as if God really doesn't exist.
How?
Like the reaction for any human on that, and the impact of how crucial it is for any society to form, or any grouping or cohesion,
Yeah, I think
is
you're wrong.
necessary.
I think you're wrong about that. Significantly wrong about that, right? So, for instance, I give you an example. Do you know who Quetzalcoatl is? Do you know who Shango is?
No.
No, you don't know who they are, right? So obviously they're not essential in terms of how you approach life, but they are gods. So in the same way, someone cannot be aware of Allah or God or Jesus or Yahweh and still be able to function in life. So I think what you're saying is completely wrong. So from that point of view, the atheist paradigm, look, but listen, the atheist paradigm is literally the disbelief in God or gods. If you don't know who Quetzalcoatl is, you can't believe in him.
Yeah.
If you don't know who Allah is, you can't believe in him. If you don't know who God is, you can't believe in him. But yet you seem to be able to maintain the same human aspects that every other religious person has too. So the God isn't the essential pillar here. It's your human nature.
I say it is because although those are not my God, I have my God. And every individual human, it's crucial that they have, if they're functioning human.
No. That's kind of
God.
slight. That's slight, bro. You can't say
And
that.
even any
That's very slight.
a God.
That's very slight. But again, I think what you're doing is like making a type of false equivocation. You're saying, because I have a religion and I have a belief, everything else is a belief in a religion in the same way. I think that's completely incorrect.
No, not the belief in the religion. I'm saying the greater point I'm making is that everyone has their form of God.
Yeah,
It's crucial that
I think you're
everyone
wrong.
does
Like
for
I'm
them to be
saying,
able to function.
I think you're wrong. I think that's a projection from your paradigm. You see how your space and your culture functions. You think, so every other culture must function the same as mine. But it's not true. It's not a truism at all. There's nothing true about that.
Well,
That's an assertion.
there isn't one culture that function without it. You'd
Say
have to
again.
prove a culture to function without it.
You'd have to what?
You have to prove a culture that truly function.
I'd say
Any
that's
culture that will not
unfair.
function without
I'd
that.
say that's unfair given what we discussed earlier on, right? Me saying the invention of gods is a necessary part in our evolutionary trajectory, but thinking that the gods actually exist is a different thing. Today, with all the information at your fingertips, functioning like our ancestors would actually be dysfunctional. It wouldn't be progressive.
Remember
So,
the point I'm making here.
so
I'm
we
not
couldn't
trying to
we couldn't
prove
undermine
my
the
word.
history of
That's a whole
humanity.
different aspect.
We couldn't undermine the whole history of humanity in order to say, show me a
But
society without gods. We know the history of humanity.
that's you see that's my evidential proof or basis of what I'm saying. At this point, I'm not trying to
It's not
prove
the
my
proof that you
God
think
or
it is, though.
my way of believing God.
No, but if you,
Let me
yeah,
land.
go on, sure.
The thing I'm trying to prove here is that, remember, my starting foundation here is I've granted you that the true God doesn't exist in that concept, but
What?
that is crucial that everything.
Oh, you
I've
talk about
granted
that
you the God
scenario.
doesn't exist in this concept. Yeah. So then everything I've based on from here is that from that position. So don't think my point is to try and prove God or
So
that's a whole different
I think, but the
session.
problem
We
with
can
what
go
you're
to the
saying
Bible.
is the problem is what you're saying is it's better to believe a lie than the truth. That's actually at the bottom of what you're saying.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to show you that the position is so unattainable that even that position is the position I'm making, and it's very good. It's a very good position.
No, it's not.
It's because
It's
this lie is
dysfunctional.
fundamental for things to function.
No, it's dysfunctional, right? That's a piece of your history, right? But it doesn't need to be a part of your future in that way, right? If you like, for instance, if you was like trying to figure out a math equation, right, and you kept getting it wrong all like for your whole like year in school, then one day someone comes along and shows you the method to get it right, you have no reason to carry on doing it the old way because now you know the right way. The only reason you'd carry on doing it the wrong way is through ignorance.
Yeah, well, that's not what I'm arguing. What I'm arguing is that no such thing has happened. No one has shown
But we
you
have,
the
right?
right way.
We
It's
have.
just substituted a different way.
Think about how much our
My point
society.
is, no one.
Think about
Okay,
how
this
much
is
our
the argument
societal
I'm making.
structures. But no, think about how much our societal structures have veered away from theocratic systems into more secular humanist societies, pluralistic universalist societies, should I say? Right? It's evidential if you go to any metropolis in the world that you can't function there, or any major capital, right, in the Western world anyway. I can't speak for everywhere, but you can't function there under a theocratic regime because it doesn't work well. It's unjust or unjust.
Not under a theocratic regime.
So it's no longer
under
a
a
pillar.
theocratic
It's
regime,
no longer
but
a stable pillar for organizing society. Right? And that is
basis.
evident.
That's
That
the
is
point.
evident. No, because you
the
yes,
basis.
it's not a basis.
basis of
It's
every
not a
society.
basis. It's a part of the
You
human
remove it,
history.
they
It's a
die.
part. Yes, but you can't undo human
not even
history,
a-
brother. So of course, it's a part of the
Not even the
past.
human history of it. I'm saying even right now, for those society, secularist society, to exist, even right now, the underlying basis is religious.
No, you're incorrect,
Although
brother.
you can pretend it isn't.
You're incorrect. It's
It
no.
is.
That's an act of ignorance at that point, right? You can't wave away the past of human history and human evolution, how we came up with gods, why we came up with gods, and how they've served in different regions of the world. We can't dismiss that. That's a reality of who we are, just like our DNA is a reality of who we are. But as I said, if we've come to the point in these various different regions across the world where religions weren't functioning stable enough to produce, where we ended up being, e.g. capitalism or socialism, pluralistic universal societies, then we know that it's not necessary to continue to build society centered around religion. but we can't undo the history of his religious influence. We can't undo that. Right? But we don't build societies around religions anymore.
No, we do. We just pretend not.
I disagree.
The point I'm arguing.
Maybe the
so it's the same. You know,
I would say
the
people that you do think are doing that are probably bad people. I would say, right? That's just my opinion, though. People who are secretly trying to usurp pluralistic societies through religion are bad people, because they're undoing the progress, or they're trying to.
No, I know. I don't think they're doing it on purpose in that sense. Because my argument is, which is now the other phase I move on, is that even on an individual basis, any atheist, I'm guessing you surely have heard this argument before, says that they live as if God exists, but pretend, but don't believe that God exists, but still live as if God exists.
That's silly. You can think that. You're entitled to think that. But if you was to change that analogy and say, like every theist lives as if Goku doesn't exist, but they know Goku exists, it's just a silly thing to say. Because the primary situation of being an atheist is finding yourself disbelieving in God or gods. So it's not a matter of pretending you're not I believe this thing, but I'm just gonna pretend I don't believe in this thing. Right? There's a book I'm reading currently.
Let me show you an example. Right now, if I told you I don't believe food is good for humans to eat or consume, but I'm like, well, but I've still got to eat every time I need to. I'm hungry. But it doesn't stop my belief that food is not good for humans.
Yeah, but that's not in any way. No, that's not analogous. That's not analogous at all, brother. It's not analogous at all.
Because the food, why I think it's analogous.
No, the food is of the natural world, and it's a necessity in terms of how biology functions. Supernatural concepts and ideologies built around supernatural concepts aren't the same as food. They're a plus, they're a bonus. I mean, you can have the base and then you can have this if you want. It's like afters. It's not a necessity.
No, see, that's the thing. I guess this is where we're arguing. The reason why I'm saying is, in the past, the reason why it was in the past is because even to this day, that understanding of the religious is fundamental. It's not just like a surplus thing. It's fundamental to human understanding.
Yeah, I would agree. But as I've said, right, that's part of evolutionary trajectory. Yeah. Right? You can't undo human history. I do agree, right? The coming up with gods was a way to survive with the elemental gods. The deifying of abstract concepts was a way to pass on ideas, simplified. The anthropomorphizing of these gods was a way to structure societies and say, hey, we're God's favourite people and we should move in this way. That is part of human's history. I agree. But to say that it's absolutely necessary to continue that trajectory is not a fact. It's not a fact,
It
bro.
is, because all our laws are based on those.
No, don't be silly.
All our moral
No, brother, no, that's not true. That is terrible rhetoric, bro.
Our projections are based on those things.
All right, so what do we understand laws to be, right? A contract that you sign in order to exist within a society or a group of people. Right? So you can have like overarching laws on a federal level, on a governmental level, and you can have societal or cultural laws. You can have communal laws. You can have household laws, right? But laws fundamentally, as they function as a human construct, are what's called oughts. One ought act this way, one ought not act that way, right? These are called prescriptive laws, right? We don't need gods in order to develop prescriptive laws, how one ought act, how one ought not act. So to say laws are built on religion is nonsense. Secondary topic, which you pointed on, our moral systems are based on religion.
We cannot...
Brother, seriously,
leave that point.
Seriously, listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying, bro. Listen to what I'm saying. Exactly. I was just about to say. Listen, because it is crucial. There is a religious influence. There is a religious.
We're gonna skip.
Listen, right? There's without a doubt
It's not an
religious.
influence, it's a
Listen,
basis.
brother, it's not a basis. This is the foolishness that you're saying.
Go on,
Right?
sorry, my bad, my bad.
There is an influence of religion in education, economics, law, politics, healthcare, food. There is an influence. Do you know why? Because religion is fundamentally human culture. The theology or the God that caps the religion is a different matter. So to say you need God to inform politics, law, religion, economics, education is incorrect. The religion is actually a structure that's produced by humans independent of God's actually existing. So that's where you're wrong there. But, so as I was saying, societal laws are what's called oughts and ought not do, right? And they're prescribed laws agreed upon by men who agree to live together, right? Morality functions in a similar way, right? As we understand morality to be, by definition, a system of determining what is good and what is bad, or what is right and what is wrong. In order to determine what is good and what is bad, one has to make a value judgment. So it's based on sensory data taken in and pre-held beliefs and values to judge moral acts. From system of morality, the only type of morality that religion has ever prescribed to mankind, the oughts act this way and ought not act, is what's called divine command theory. Outside of that, we've got deontological morality, we've got ethics of care, we've got egoism, we've got utilitarianism, on and on it goes. But religion has only ever offered one moral structure to mankind, and within religion, it falls short of it itself. Okay, so society's morality is not based on religion or God. Put that to aside. So hopefully you understand what I'm saying. That's like poor propaganda of religion. Like, we are needed in society for morality and law. No, you're not. Historically, if we look at the history of Christendom, if we look at the history of Islam, and we look at the history of Judaism, the big three Abrahamics, they have been primarily dysfunctional in law and in morality throughout history of their existence as a group of people or subscribers to that ideology. So that's obviously false. Right? And what happens? Laws and moral codes predate all three of those religions.
Yes.
So they're not fundamental.
My point would be, those religions are not the fundamental. Remember, this point, I'm not trying to prove any of the religion in this
I understand.
point. I'm trying to prove that the abstract idea of God is the basis of anything. And the reason why, for any individual, and the reason why I'm saying this is I'm going to base it on even the points that you used. Remember when we started, you said, at the time we used it for humans to be able to understand abstract ideas and conceptualize it in reality.
Yeah.
All the things that you mentioned at the basis of the oughts are all abstract ideas.
Yeah. But that's as it pertains
And
to
at
God
the time,
concepts.
the thing that held them, this is my point. At the time, the thing that held or glued all those oughts, as the abstract ideas they were, was that there was a God above them.
No, that's literally
that's
what
the flow that
you
happened.
literally just missed everything I just said. The only system that provided that, right, was what was described as divine command theory. And that comes a lot later in human history. When I gave you those three phases, we're talking about centuries and centuries apart of human development, and it only pertains to God. So to say that people weren't able to arrive at abstract thinking without the invention of God is incorrect. In fact, it's likely we can't even know. Right?
We can't know what.
When I give you the three phases of humans assigning agency to elemental things, and then abstraction being deified, and then anthropomorphizing, we're strictly talking about what entails the concept of creating gods, inventing gods. But we're not speaking about what brings about human cognition, what brings about societal structures, what brings about the capability for abstraction, or etc.
Didn't you agree that
We're
those
talking
were
about the invention of
fundamental in
gods.
the past to build those society?
No, you misheard,
those was
or you
fundamental.
misunderstood. They were fundamental in developing God. God plays a role in how we structure society later, but it doesn't entail the invention of cognition. It doesn't entail the invention of hierarchical systems. It doesn't entail none of those things, or the ability, for abstraction. It doesn't entail that. We use those powers on our creation that is God. We already possess those.
Because I thought when we started, because I missed your because in your first concession, at least I guess we misunderstood each other, because it felt like, I understood it to that you were in agreement that for the human history, the human past, it was fundamental to have the God beliefs for that,
Yeah,
for the humans to be able to
for
evolve.
for certain parts of history, but we can't account for all events of human history in that way. That's what I'm trying to say to you. You're looking past the elements of
So
what
are
I've
you
offered,
saying,
and you're saying,
if we were to take any
actually
of
we can't have cognition, we can't have societies. You know, you're making a larger assumption, which is an unprovable claim. When I say to you humans needed these three assets, it pertains to the creation of God and how we went on to use God in society. But to say societies can't exist independently of God is a totally different kind of claim.
not even, because we keep saying God. Remember, at this point, I'm not even arguing any God. I've conceded that
It's a
point, and
pointer,
I
bro. It's
think
a pointer.
I'll have to argue. It's a whole other entirely thing to argue differently. But in terms of, it could be God or gods. I'm saying that concept of a divine of whatever form. I thought we had agreed or considered that it was fundamental to the human evolution.
As a
Is that
part of
something
it,
we disagree now? Do you
I
think it
do
was
agree that.
just
I agree that, but I'm saying don't use that point of you take a snapshot of human history and use that as the explainer for the whole of human history. That's what I'm saying to you. It's a part of human history, but it's
no,
not the
no?
foundation of human history. Right? There's a difference there.
That's where we disagree then, because like right now for me, what it sounds like is if I told you, well, to build this car, I needed to start with an engine, and then I build all the things around it, even though you can't see the engine at the moment,
Yeah, that would be
and then
incorrect, wouldn't it?
and I'm saying, yeah, you
Because
no,
it
but
starts
here's my point.
it
Okay,
starts
maybe
even
you don't
more
agree with me, but here's
fundamental than the engine. It starts with the raw materials, doesn't it? So when we start the good
yeah,
conversation,
it does start with the
we're
raw.
already starting at the
So,
engine. We're not starting at the raw materials. We're talking about the invention of the engine at the point where we're talking about God, not the invention of humans and all life.
but that's what I'm saying. Remember, I'm not saying, I'm not at this point, at least at this point, I'm not arguing that God is the creator of humans or anything. I'm arguing at the necessity for humans in order to function,
Yeah.
to have a divine
And
belief.
I agree in a
Now,
contingent
you're
way to
saying
say
that
that that's a
humans have not
part.
needed that. But it's a crucial part, and it's a crucial basis. So like, just like you said, yeah, for an engine I would need a lot of elements, but once I built it as an engine, it's a crucial, that component is a crucial part of a car. Now, when seeing a car driving, it doesn't look like the engine is the main
Yeah.
component of the car. On the surface, you got all other things that are moving, the wheels, everything. So to me, at least looking at it from this perspective, I'm saying, when you are arguing that going forward you don't need a divine, to me it's the same as saying,
No.
oh, moving forward for the evolution of cars and everything we've improved, the engine is not necessary. The car can now
Yeah,
function without the
because
engine. That's the point
it's
I'm trying to argue,
no.
saying that
What you're
it's the
doing
fundamental
is
basis.
lolling like in a meta kind of way. You're putting the cart before the horse. You're saying because we invented a cart, it's responsible for the horse. It's not, right? In the same way we used to use horse and carriage, we came up with an engine and now we no longer use horse and carriage or depend on it in the same way. In the same way, in the future, we used to use gods to organize society. We no longer use gods to organize society. In this analogy, the society going forward would be the engine's invention. Right? That's where we're talking
No,
past each other.
no, I think you just assigned me the wrong side of the thing. I think the horse was the engine, even in the times where there wasn't cars. Then we
Yeah, of
turned
course.
from the horse being the engine, and we actually had an engine. And my argument is, at any point for the human functionality, that engine, whatever form it comes as, is gonna be necessary. And I'm
Yes,
saying
we
that
don't
engine is the
disagree,
divine.
brother. We
You're gonna
don't
need the horse,
disagree.
or you're gonna need the engine, and that's the divine.
Right, we
I
don't
guess we oh,
disagree.
no,
We
we
don't
do disagree,
disagree.
because
Listen, because we're talking past each other, right? We both agree that at a certain point in history, it was necessary for humans to devise God concepts. Do we not?
I don't think we do, because when I went back and said it was the
That
basis,
that
you
is
said,
what I think.
no,
So
it's just
we're getting
one of the
clarity here.
components.
We're just
And I
getting
was saying,
clarity. We're getting clarity. Do we agree that at a certain point in history
Mm-hmm.
it was necessary for humans to devise God concepts, whether there's a God or not a God?
yeah, that's my point.
So
Yeah,
we can
I
agree
brought that
that.
up.
But prior to that point in history, things still happened. And after that point in history, things still happened. Can we agree?
Yeah, things can still happen.
Right. So
Yeah, but
so let's not
the
put
kind of
so
thing that
let's
it
not put the
was.
cart before the horse. That's the analogy I'm giving you. If we're talking about a section of human history, yeah, we're not saying that section of history is responsible for everything that preceded, like that came before it. You know, that doesn't make sense. Okay, so that's all the clarity is
No,
that's
it's not
missing
responsible for
there.
everything that came before it,
Say again.
but it's responsible for everything that followed it, not everything that came
Yeah,
before it.
because it's part of. If we're looking at history in a linear way, right?
Everything that came
Things are
after it.
informed. Things are informed by things that have preceded them. Of course, I do not disagree that. But in the same analogy we're using, so your initial question was, all right, if you could transmit a message to all humans and tell them to not believe in God because God doesn't exist, would you do it? I said yes, right? But I think what the question you was asking before that, is it better for humans to believe in God or not, right? Whether it's a lie or not. So, based on that, I can concede that at a certain point in history it was necessary to devise gods. Right? Whether people truly believed in them or not makes no difference because it was useful. But moving forward, at the point we are now, it's not useful in the way it was before. So it would be a hindrance now. That's all that's being said.
Okay, so this is what I was trying to explain. To me, that statement sounds like saying, right, we've gone so much improvement with the cars. Like, look at all the exterior, all the internal technology.
Yeah.
Going forward, the engine is just a heavy load. We don't need an engine anymore to build to continue with cars.
Because it's
My
like the
argument is,
horse. The
moment
engine
you
could
do
become the
that,
horse,
you
wouldn't
don't
it?
have a car anymore. The functions like,
No,
but
we can still
you will
we can
at the
go to
time, you will
museums and look
have-
at cars,
you
can't
will
we?
have a car. When's it taking?
The cars don't just
Yeah,
cease
that's
to
what I'm saying.
exist.
Yeah,
It's
you
like,
can,
yo,
you
remember
can.
when humans
When you
used to
take an
believe in,
engine.
you know, like remember when
I
humans
agree
used to
with
believe
you.
in, oh, do you know when humans used to drive horse and carriage? It's the same thing. It's like, this is a part of our history. No doubts, no quarrels of it. But we're talking about what the future
No,
might
so
be
this
if
this
we
this
stopped
is
believing in that thing of our
this
past.
was my argument. Now here's my argument: is that just like the moment you take an engine out of a car and you put it in a museum, yes, it still is visibly a car, but it no longer functions like a car. And my point is, the moment you take the divine out of human existence,
Oh, yeah.
the humans might still exist, or like some form of society, but it won't function in
No, all
any
you're
of the
saying,
ways that it has
that's an
functioned.
opinion. That's an opinion you can think, and it's a valid opinion, but it's not a reality, right? Because we can't know the counterfactual in this case. We can't know what the world would be like without the invention of God going forward. We can't know that. We can only go on what we know now. It's how the world has functioned in the past, and based on those assertions of the past, what it might look like in the future. But we can't know that if God was to be removed from society
But
today,
yeah, but
anything
the
bad
moment
or anything
I'm
good would
making
happen. Right? We're making like educated
but
guesses at best,
the
but we
moment
can't know.
the moment I'm making, yeah, we are, but mine are being based on the history of what's come before,
And so are
as
mine,
being
brother.
informed by the history. But we're both
So
making
am I,
guesses.
right? Because
But
it would
yours
be
are not,
like,
because
of course,
yours are
the horse,
saying
the
that
horse and cart
what has made
analogy is
everything work
exactly
in the
that.
past will no longer work.
Whoa, is my
What do you mean? Right.
oh, sorry, we can hear my voice in your mic. That's why it's a bit weird.
I'm just using my phone. I don't.
No, that's okay.
Listen. Next time we talk, you know, I've got like a microphone set up. Well, I haven't set it up. I just moved houses. I got a microphone.
All right.
I can set it. Next time you go live. Just, you know, when we finish this, you let me know next time we go
Just
live.
hit that follow button,
I'll
and
have
you'll
a
see
proper
me,
setup,
bro.
man. Right now, I'm just using my phone.
Hit that follow button, you'll see me, bro.
Nah, bro,
It
you
was
tapping
very
the
nice
button,
talking
bro.
to you.
What do you think this is?
Hey?
I'm about that life.
Alright, say less.
I'm about that life,
Say
man. Look at
less.
me. I've already touched the button.
Nah, I appreciate you, bro.
even, bro. But anyway, yeah, okay. Like, I think, as a conclusion, the point this is the position I'm trying to make, and I guess I had a different vision of how I can walk it through, and I think the reason why we're still talking a little bit past each other is the main basis of my argument. We didn't get a chance to go through is that if every individual still lives as if God exists, because my argument is because
Sorry.
there's consequences if you follow the line of God doesn't exist. There's other questions, other abstract ideas you have to go through, unless if you, but you can also avoid going through and pretend they're not there or they're not real. That's that's basically one of the reasons why we're speaking past each other, is that I'm projecting from that individualistic position, and I guess the further thing that in the abstract, I guess for some people that are listening to our argument, because we're talking about like really very abstract ideas,
Of course.
to slow them and make them realistic, for all the other listeners, in case someone know that I'm patronizing anyone. I guess for me the vision I'm looking at is like, right, the reason why the majority, it might not be for you, for a good solid minority, but the majority of the population, even to this day, they might not say, but the reason why they believe in the good and bad is they still hold on to an abstract idea of a God that of a rule rules over that.
Yeah, there could be
If you
good
were to
reasons to do
right
that.
now cancel all of that, that in your gambling, that everyone is going to be like, huh, right, so God is no longer the reason why I will try whatever successful or unsuccessful ways to be
So
good
can
or
I
bad.
interject, right? Because you've
What
said a lot.
stops? What forces him?
But the thing is, what you're assuming
I thought we were concluding,
is a
but I must
hypothetical.
say,
I know. I need to go to the toilet as well and restart the stream. But the hypothetical is what you're saying is, if you could snap God concepts out of existence, right? The difference is, if we're reasoning, I can reason you through why God may not exist, and reason you too why you should still keep an ideal of what is good and what is bad. As I established earlier on, moral frameworks and laws and such can inform your like character development, virtues and vices. They would still exist independently of God's. You're assuming that Gods are necessary for those things, right? And we can really say that they're not. So if God was to be snapped out of existence, you feel like good and bad would just fall to bits as well. And that's not something you could know. You could think that. But again, based on what we know about how one decides what is good and bad, we don't actually need a God in the picture to make those day-to-day decisions. Okay?
my argument is basically that you as an individual who maybe have thought about, are able to conceptualize these abstract ideas devoid of the divine, you might be able to continue to function like that. But my argument is the majority of the world population right now
We can't really
do
know that,
not
bro.
conceive of these abstract ideas. Trust me,
Brother, we can't really know that.
I think I can make an educated guess.
No,
No, 'cause
I
what's the
understand.
majority?
I
Are you
understand what
saying
you're
the majority of
saying,
people
but it's still
right
kind
now
of. I
believe
feel
in
it's
the
wrong.
divine?
I feel it's wrong because, like, on two levels, right? You doubt the capability of your fellow human, right? On that level, it's kind of dread. Like, you should have more faith in humanity because we're pretty dope, right? In terms of what we're capable of. And the other part is you're thinking in a way like, oh, my worldview entails all worldviews, you know? And I think both of those kinds of things are incorrect.
I'm not even
I
thinking
think it's
about my
nuanced.
worldview, though.
Yeah, because
I'm
you're talking about the masses as if one could know what all the masses are thinking. We couldn't know, right? We could account for the
okay. Let me
religious lot, like, you know,
pose
the
to you. Do you
billions
think
of
the
Muslims,
majority of the
the
people?
billions of Christians. Yeah, we could maybe say they might have some concerns. But then you think about the development of philosophy, you know, and psychology for all these years in human history. Even the Muslims and the Christians and the Jews who make up those masses have a very robust understanding of metaphysics and ethics and all these things too, right? So they're not just taken off the table. Those things inform religious views as well.
It took even those few. They do, and this will be something that I further along. Next time we discuss, we can go further into it, because I can, when I'm on the side of proving that God is actually real, then I would have a different argument. At this point, I'm just trying to prove the necessity of the divine, and the necessity of the divine The reason why, like you said, oh, I'm just assuming. I'm not assuming on the basis of my belief. I'm assuming on the basis that we both agree the majority of the population right now are very superstitious in one form or another,
Oh, yeah,
and
everyone
that's on
everyone
the
has a
basis of the
level.
divine.
Not necessarily, right? Not necessarily. Okay. But we'll tie it up here, alright? Let's just agree to disagree on this one.
Yeah, we'll say
We'll tie up. 52
but it
minutes
was a
in.
great discussion, man. It was a great discussion, man.
Well, technically an hour, but yeah.
It was a great discussion. All right, man.
Alright, I'm gonna go toilet. I'm gonna
Great,
restart
man.
the
Listen,
stream.
I had plans to bake my cake,
Bake your
and
cake,
then
brother.
I haven't had a chance to bake a cake, man.
May your cake rise
Alright, bro,
high, right?
I'll check you out
Alright,
next
of
time.
course.
I'll tap next time, and then we'll build up things. Next time we'll construct things better. All right, bro.
Alright, appreciate
Go
you,
for
bro.
it.
Good
All
chat.
right, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on, man.
No worries,
Great
bro.
chat.
Alright,
How
six.
do I leave?
Six, you are next, I promise. On God, I promise, right? But I gotta go to the toilet and I feel like the algorithm is in a bad place because it's only been seen by 188 people, so I'm gonna restart again, okay? I've seen what you said, Jordan. I have seen what you said the whole time. I saw what you said, right? But yeah, let the guy speak. He wants to say stuff, let him say stuff. He's not saying nothing too crazy. I mean, I haven't seen anything too crazy. But yeah. I'm going to restart the TikTok, so we'll give it a minute while I go to the toilet, and then I'll be back. If you actually want to be part of the stream, 6, hang in there, brother. Hang in there. All right, and you, Dennis, or Owenis. All right, but I'll be back in a minute. Oh. YouTube, guys. Hold it down, bro. Alright, folks. Sorry about that. I had to do the human stuff. I don't know how much longer I want to stay on because I want to like have pizza, you know, and just zone out, watch some brain dead anime. I want to watch anime. No, it doesn't seem to be. It doesn't seem to be that the stream is showing an algorithm, at least like it did this morning. It's a shame. I wish I'd have just stayed on this morning, but I had other obligations, which I low key regret. But it is what it is, as they say. Alright, so we're back. Hopefully 6 jumps up straight away and we can get to it. Because he was very patient for 2 callers even. I was over an hour wait. So I appreciate that guy. I don't know, future of Earth. Everyone keeps asking that question. When is Jesus coming back? What's taking him so long? I can't answer that for you, bro. Can't answer that for you. Probably get GTA 6 first. I'm joking. GTA 6 before Jesus? Nah. It is what it is. Indeed, sir. Somebody tell 6 to get in here. He's probably like had enough. I can't blame him. Ah, there he is there. 6, you G. Alright, well done. Well done, bro. Super patient. I owe you the utmost respect.
What's up, my man? How you doing?
How you doing, bro? I'm good. Thank you for waiting. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. It was a pretty good conversation. I feel like that dude wasn't listening as much as he was talking, but it wasn't bad.
I mean, I'm like that as well, can't lie. Loki,
I think we all can be, for sure.
yeah. But what are you saying anyways?
Um,
What do you want to talk about, things?
so like with your analogy, all that. So if God is real, so you're working under the assumption that God is like something man made up. So it wouldn't matter if it's not there. But if God is a real thing, an entity, um, would that affect what you think then?
Say again, sorry?
Like,
Sniffled, or whatever.
no worries. It seems like you're working under the assumption that we invented God and there is no God. But if God was real and like a real actual entity, does that change like how you thought about that?
Not necessarily, no. Because again, I've not got good reasons to think that. Someone could come along and tell me, hey, God is real, you know, but they're not doing a good job in convincing me of that.
I don't know that anybody can, especially like 'cause, like I don't think anyone would have for me like personally prior to like, but I had like my own what seems like biblical moment. So like and months of that. So like it was hard for me to deny after that. But prior to, I spent my entire life kind of where you're at. But then like I had this like conversation, and I couldn't explain it, and then it like it hung out. Like I felt like I had a bunch of conversations, a bunch of things happened around me I couldn't explain. It seemed like it controlled everything around me. Like
So,
so, like I was.
sorry, no, go on. Tell me. Because what I was just going to clarify is what you're saying. What makes you believe is that you have like a testimony of an experience. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, and I know that that's not. I know that's anecdotal for you, and that's not going to be good for you. Like,
Sure.
because I realized that, like prior to this, no matter who would have told me any story, I would have never believed them. I would have just thought they were either crazy or making it up, or which I understand that that's what you're going to think about me, and that's okay.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. But I do have my reasons for not accepting testimonies. But it doesn't mean I'm going to think you're crazy or making out. But they are possibilities, depending on what you say.
Yeah. So, and I get that. Even with my own, so even with this own experience, then like, it only really answers the is there or isn't there kind of God thing. It doesn't tell you like for me, it didn't tell me which God to believe in, or even if like, well, maybe that wasn't God that I was dealing with, but like some kind of alien technology that could like work with telepathy. Like there was a bunch of things that like went in my head. Like what else could this be besides God?
Sure.
Like so I think that even with that experience that I had, it doesn't necessarily like end the discussion, even in my own head. So
True, right. So maybe you want to tell me the core thing of the experience that convinced you it was a god.
um just the fact that it just it could control everything. It kind of like knew the future. It seemed it kept like it would tell me to read the Bible, and like so like that kind of led me to the Bible, but it also like leads me to other directions too. So I kind of think that all religions are kind of like legit in a sense.
So what is it?
Like
What is the it thing you're talking about that spoke to you? Like, explain it the best you can.
so like I could tell you individual experiences I had with it, or like I could, or like what do you?
Yeah, because I'm just trying to understand what you mean. You're saying something was telling you, because you specifically said it was telling you to read the Bible. So what does that entail? What is the it? Describe the it.
It seems like so it was like a interactive thing, but man, how do I put this? Like, so theoretically, it could have just been a voice inside my head too. There's no really like way for, because like I saw things, but like they were like holographic images, sort of like, but there was no person ever. So like I didn't see any like I didn't see any entity itself. If that makes sense. It was just
But you're
like
saying you experienced it audibly, or was it just more like a thought?
I seen it audibly, or I experienced it audibly. Like so, I've also had experiences where it felt like my own voice. Like I feel like God can talk in so many different ways. But yeah, there's definitely multiple audible times, but other times like it was other ways. Like he can use a bunch of different ways to speak to you if he wants.
I mean, yeah, we can work on that assumption, considering that he's supposed to be all powerful. We can work from that assumption that he's able to speak to you in all different types of ways. But the problem is, how do you deduce that that experience was God and not something else?
I don't think that you can. I don't mean like for me the only reason that makes me think that it probably is God is because like just the fact that it can control everything around me. But then that doesn't like leave out. I don't know if you know anything about like. Sorry about that. If you know anything about like Gnosticism, and like that there could be a demiurge that controls like the material world, and then there's still a God above that. So whether I was dealing with this demiurge is also a possibility as well. So like I don't think that there is a way to prove whether it is God or not. It just to me proves that there is something more than everybody or most people understand.
Right, well, so what is the God that you've found yourself believing in then through that experience? Is there a specific type, or you're just talking like a general type of thing?
He never gave me like a name. He was never like I am this and this is what you should call me. So like I don't really, but I found L to be what I feel most comfortable with. Originally he came to me like
what's the reason for that?
He came to me with a bunch of Superman imagery.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, but I didn't put that together.
Oh, like, you mean L like Kal-El?
Yeah. So that's,
I see. That's clever.
Yeah, Kal-El, Jor-El, you know. So like,
that's clever.
And then later on, and when I read about there being a deity named El,
yeah,
like I felt good about putting that towards that because it used all the Superman imagery. You know what I mean?
What was L from Death Note?
I've never even watched Death Note. I was scared.
That's a low key meta one right there.
And then like if you look at all the angels and stuff, they all have El in their name, and like a lot of biblical things, like especially with like ancient Judaism, like will like mention like he will have me in his name, and like.
So to pin it more down, right? So you're saying you experience some entity speaking to you in some fashion, and you refer to the entity as El.
That's what I feel
so far.
That's the name of it. It's like if I had to give it a name, like that's what that or I am. You know what I mean? Like those two.
Well, that's very specific. Now it's gone past your private experience to a religious interpretation.
I suppose.
So from that point of view, one would say, right now this is beyond just like you could look at it like, are you clearly you're being influenced by a religion to say this in some fashion anyway, because you wouldn't have a frame of reference for El or I am or anything like that if it had it not been for religion anyways, right? But that entails another thing. So what you're saying is you believe in the God that the religion is talking about based on how you're presenting the God to me.
I also think though, so like personally, like if you were say Hindu,
what's up, Lou?
right?
Yeah.
Say you were a Hindu and you told me that you had a similar experience and it was Krishna, and Krishna was the one that told you these things and gave you insight. Like I would never argue with that because like I do believe this God can come to you however he chooses, and if he chooses to come to you as Krishna or whomever he chooses, because like you could kind of argue that Allah is the same thing, you know, like the main three all have the same God.
I understand that point of view, but one would argue that's quite convenient, isn't it? In terms of how God operates, it just seems to be whatever the mind wants it to be. It's kind of like a little bit of a demon.
I look at it more like he gets bored being the same thing to everybody all the time.
I mean, there's a lot of assumptions there.
Well, I mean, I kind of know him, you know what I mean? Like, so like...
You can say I know him.
Yeah.
That's jokes.
He's funny, dude. He's a funny, like, and I do feel like he probably does get bored. Like.
Sure. But based on what you've been telling me anyways, yeah, all I would say is I don't accept personal private testimonies as facts about our reality. So if that is all you're really trying to express, that you have a testimony, that wouldn't be admissible to me as any truth. It's just a private experience that you're describing. So
I
from
don't.
that point of view,
But so, what do you think? What evidence do you think someone can present?
well, it would depend what the claim is. We listen to what the claim is. We try to understand the elements of the claim. Then we set about establishing what evidence is necessary. So
Like-
that's what it is.
Do you think that guy in the game could ever know you?
No. The get like
Even if he
me.
thinks,
If you're being like metaphorical too, also no. But
even
literally,
if you
no.
have like ways to make it to where like you could communicate with him, he could still never like prove. He probably couldn't prove you to other people.
Yeah, if I wanted to F with him, yeah, sure. But if I have access to his world in that level, then there's no reason everyone in that world could know me.
It could. I mean, time might be an issue for you.
I
You'd
don't
have
think
to go
so.
through, every individual character and.
Sorry, let me just blow my nose. Sorry about that. Yeah, intelligent design requires I blow my nose. But yeah, go on. What is it you're actually saying?
If there was like 8 billion people in that game, like yeah, you could go to each one individually and
Yeah.
but like for you, like how long would that take? Would you want to do that?
But since I'm the guy above the game, I can just go boom. And I can go a step further and say boom, close the whole application. From that point of view, I'm unlimited in what I could do, right? Let's go a step further and say I'm the coder of the game. I can have the game operating any way I want to, as far as that analogy goes. But it doesn't necessarily tell us about our real world. Why should we think a God exists? Why should we think a God operates in a specific way? Those are the things that we're trying to discuss and understand.
It's just hard to understand it inside the game. You know what I mean? Because like you can only know what you're able, like what's presented to you, sort of. Like maybe if the coder or the creator of the game like gave you more ways to know, maybe.
So thing is, right, if we actually like going to take that kind of question begging stance to say that a God exists and he is the coder of the game, I see no reason to worry about anything from that point onwards, right? I don't need to figure out how to know him, because anything that's happening would be because he wants it to happen anyway. So why should I concern myself with it from that point of view?
I guess that's interesting. I don't think that there is a necessity to. But
If he's running the scheme already, why should I bother myself about what it would be or trying to connect with it? Because it's the one that has the power, not me. I'm just an expression of it.
yeah, I don't think it would be to worry. But what would you do if it like presented itself to you?
Well, I would test it to see if it is what it's claiming to be, or in the best way I could. And I would obviously not be able to do it like singularly. I need some reality testing with other people's experiences, other people who can test the data that I record of it. So it's hard to say, right? And then there's the question of what is it and how would it appear to me? Those are the things that we need to establish. What is it and how would it appear to me? How would I know that it is what it says it is? Or what you're telling me it is better, furthermore.
Even it though, so like I feel like like even it's gonna have a hard time like telling you what it is. I guess it could show you, but like
I mean, this is highly imaginative at this point.
oh well, it has to be. For me at least, like I've seen so many things that like broke my understanding of reality. You know what I mean? Like that.
Give an example.
So like how like when you see a digital like a game and there's like brick walls and everything, and then you see like the inverse of it, like the digital bones of it. Do you know what I'm talking about by any chance?
I think
Like
I've got an idea.
computer. What's that?
I think I've got an idea.
So like I did that for the world around me. So like I saw everything around me in like digital bones. You know what I mean? Like the like.
But what has come of it?
What's that?
What has come of it?
What do you mean? What has come of it?
Yeah,
He turned it back. I mean, everything's normal again now.
yeah, but what's come of it since then? Holy snap! This Catholic thinker. But yeah, sorry. Carry on.
I'm not sure what you mean.
So, based on your experience, yeah,
Yeah.
What did that actually change in terms of
Well,
your reality?
it made me pretty sure that this is some sort of digital world or simulation or
But
something like that.
at present, you have no way to test that experience against anyone else's, since it's a unique experience to you.
Even if I did have other people's experiences, I don't know that I could hold them to be any more valid than, like, or,
So,
what if somebody said that they saw it instead of digital bones, they saw it all made up as sugar and it was a candy world. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, maybe they could, right? But that's the problem with personal private experiences, which goes back to why I said I don't take them to be anything indicative of our actual shared reality. Because you yourself aren't able to determine whether you was having a psychotic break or you was experiencing God. So how would I be able to determine your experience if I don't have access to that same experience?
yeah, I definitely don't imagine that I can convince you, and that's definitely not where I'm going. I kind of like when I talk to people, I kind of want to see what would happen if they had the kind of experience I had. Just to see,
You
like,
couldn't know. That's like you can scramble your own brain like that. How could you possibly know?
what do you mean? Like, I just like if God came to you, like basically is so
Yeah.
like my like I don't know. It's just perspective.
Like
I try to
you
get
want to
as
see
many.
what I would say if like you gave me a scenario, then you got to give the scenario.
So I kind of did like if God like, but like for me, like when a lot of people ask me, like, well, why didn't you go to like the psychiatrist? One, I'm in America, which makes healthcare very complicated.
Yeah, I
But
hear.
but but two, if you go, like, there's 0% chance in my mind at least that I'm gonna go there and they're gonna be like, you are talking to God. You know what I mean?
So what makes you think there's 0% chance that they're gonna say that?
Because I just don't think that the majority of people believe that. I think that it's so funny because like you don't believe in God at all, right? But
I
people
guess.
like that are Christian, like when I tell them my story, they think I'm crazy too, and it's like you believe in a book where God talks to people, like you
Sweet
believe in
life.
that book, and then you don't think that He's gonna talk to people, like then you discount people that say they talk to Him. So I at least understand. You don't think there's one at all. But
Well, there you go, right? That's the problem with testimony. There's more to it than that. I didn't really give the breakdown on why I don't take the testimonies, but therein lies the problem. It's an experience that you've had, right? And is as far as language goes, it's difficult to convey an experience, specifically if something is being captured emotionally, not necessarily like with words linguistically. So it's difficult for you to even convey the experience at all linguistically. And the second level is even if you could convey it linguistically, there's no way to know if the other person understands what you're saying in a way that you mean it. You know.
yeah, facts.
Hey, thanks for the gifts, Lou. I appreciate that. But yo,
I've actually got to the point where I don't like really talking about the things because like I just don't think that it goes many places. You seemed very interesting just because like you just have a very
oh, I'm
you have a
joking.
very good sense of like the way you're speaking and like I don't know like you sounded like exactly how I was but with better vocabulary and better understanding of philosophy.
No, not
Which is like I
necessarily.
really wish he would have came to you instead of me because I feel like you would have handled it better.
Yeah, don't say that. Don't say that. Don't wish bad things upon me now. I'm joking. I'm joking. But it's been interesting talking to you, bro. I appreciate you for coming up, Six. I'm really appreciate
Yeah,
you for waiting
I
as
was,
well. That was very nice
yeah,
of you.
absolutely. It was good talking to you. Maybe we'll talk again sometime.
All right, bro. Appreciate you, bro. Take care.
Take care.
We got absolute legend on the line. Yo. Oh, I don't think you can hear me.
Hello?
Yo, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Not too bad. What are you saying?
Yeah, I was just supposed I don't disagree with the prompts in full. I'm mostly just curious on, you know, what you mean by God. Just like when you say God, what is it that you're trying to convey?
So how I'm using it on the screen is like a category definer for just like supernatural entities or deities. So I accept all different types of God concepts to hold the title of God too. So whether it's like a minor
Gotcha.
deity or a major deity.
Gotcha. Would you include the understanding of like Spinoza's God, or like the ultimate grounding of all of reality?
I mean, I would allow for people to say that's God, but whether I could say I fully understand it is a different matter.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, the question of understanding it is definitely a whole different category. I was just mostly
Yeah.
curious because I do agree that like a lot of people's understanding of what that ultimate grounding is their own invention, and it's not accurate to that ultimate grounding. Um,
I don't know if there is an ultimate grounding. That's the crazy part about it. How could I know?
yeah, and that's mostly what I was just wondering. Like, if someone was to come up and say, "Hey, what I mean by God is ultimate grounding," and then showed something for that, would you
I would
call
listen.
that still yeah, I was mostly wondering, would you still call that like a human invention, or a human discovery?
I would say that's more of a God of the gaps thing, right? Because it'd be like saying,
Okay.
here's like, so how I find take gods to be is abstract concepts, just immaterial ideas, and everyone's walking around with a different version of what that immaterial concept entails to them.
Hmm.
So someone over here could say, "Hey, God is gravity." Someone over here could say, "God is consciousness." Someone over here could say, "God is an anthropomorphic deity." Someone over there could say, "God is Jesus." So based on that, like what I take God to be, yeah, like I would allow for them to say that God is like some fundamental grounding in a philosophical way, because they're using it in the same way as someone saying Thor is God. They're using it in the same way as someone saying Jesus is God. Do you know? But
Yeah.
whether I
Okay.
understand where they're gonna go with it is it really depends on what they say.
Okay. Yeah, no, and that's fine. I was just mostly curious. Like, I've been enjoying the way that you run your lives. Honestly, I was just mostly curious on
No, it's actually sick to see
the
you here, bro. I've seen you on Ian's stream a couple of times talking with some big hitters. So you're low key a
well,
legend in the circuit as well.
blame Lou. She's the one that invited me
Loser
over.
legend as well. Like it's like a meta fandom, it's like a fandom of a fandom of a fandom. I'm not saying that you're fans in any way, but you know what I mean.
Y- Yeah, but no, like, I like the way that you approach it, and the the fact that you've got gameplay going on as well. Like,
Trying.
yeah, like, honestly, the fact that you're able to have these types of conversations while playing Elden Ring is mad props to you.
Oh, I appreciate that. I
Um,
don't do it well, but I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take
hey,
it.
hey, I struggle with Elden Ring even without the distractions. So
Fair.
you know,
Fair. I mean, the game is secondary, but yeah, I'll take it. I mean,
but
I'm a bit like that, anyways.
no, I was just mostly curious as far as like, because like I said, I don't fully disagree with humans invented God. There is definitely a very strong aspect of truth to that statement. Um, Now, I do think that people can discover God, but I do agree that like most of the people you talk to are going to be speaking on some type of God that they themselves had invented. Um,
So
and even within my
what do you think? What do you think it entails to discover a god?
yeah, so that's for me, the God is that grounding of reality. Um, you know, whatever grounds being itself, the ability to exist, is what enables other things to exist. That's what I mean by God. Now, uh,
So can that thing change? Can your understanding of what
no.
that thing is? So like,
Um,
let's for instance
so
say today you think this specific thing is the ground of reality, and you call that specific thing
mhm.
God, and then tomorrow you get some more knowledge about how that thing works, and you figure out there's something beyond that. Would you then call that thing God as well?
So the particular tradition that I come from utilizes what's called negative theology.
Cool.
Um, so it's like my knowledge of this thing can never increase in the sense of like I where I can know more about it. All I can do is say what it is not. The only thing that
That's
I'm able to
interesting.
say of it, yeah, the only thing that I'm able to say of it is that its identity is its own existence. For example, your identity as a human being, that has existence. you are an actualized human being. So your identity is not the same as your existence. You are an identity that has existence. Whereas for this being, its identity is its existence.
To me, that doesn't really make sense to me.
It's something that I'm working on, and I've got a full it's 4 parts, and I think each part has like no more than I think the most premises in one is like 6 or 8 premises. But I'm planning on presenting that on Unapologetic on Sunday if you watch
Damn.
when Ian.
So you guys really do actually plan your streams. I always knew it. It's really staged, isn't it? I'm just playing.
No. I
playing.
am. Yeah, no. This has been something that I try to keep. Ian's when I appear on Ian, it's usually to answer a question that they've had or something that they've pushed me on, and less to convince them on the God question. I tend to save the God question stuff for Unapologetic because it's 3 different perspectives, and I want as many perspectives as possible. And it's also what started my TikTok live stream debate journey. So I figure, hey, let me reserve it for that because that was my very first appearance debating on the God question. So let me save that topic specifically for that.
I feel like what they're gonna throw at you straight away is you're defining it as existence, like you know.
So I've shown it to several people, and the way that I go at it now. This is like part 3 of the argument. So part 1 just establishes that something always exists, and then part 2 establishes that there's that reality has to be comprised of some mixture of things that are dependent and things that are independent. And so the third part then explores, okay, what enables a thing to be independent? And the way that it goes is because an independent thing is not dependent on something else in order for it to exist. It has to be its own reason for existing, so it's its own sufficient reason to exist. And because it's its own sufficient reason to exist, it can't not exist.
Yeah, that seems a little bit ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro.
So
as a layman, that seems a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah. So that gets a little bit. So the next question is because like what seems ridiculous is how can it be impossible for something to not exist? And that is what gets into the next question of what enables it to.
Ooh. We lost you, bro. We lost you, bro. We can't hear you. Well, I can't hear you.
Hang on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So. Oops.
Hello? Yeah, we can't hear you again, bro. Well, I can't hear you. Maybe these lot can hear you. I can't hear you in headphones. Man, I can't wait to eat some pizza tonight, man. Damn it. You there, bro? It's a pizza with everything on it. So I just bought like one of those flatbread ones. But then I just added a bunch of extra stuff like sweet corn. I know some people are going to be vegetarians. They're going to be upset at this. But it's like, it's technically a meat feast minus beef. Oh no. Catholic Finger's gone. But it was nice speaking to him. To be fair, he probably shouldn't share his argument prematurely anyways. Oh, he's back. Let's go. You think? You fixed?
Someone tried to call me and it always messes up my TikTok connection. But so the question then gets into effectively is what the nature of an independent thing is, and that independent, and then we're trying to determine the identity of that independent thing.
But then what if someone just hits you with everything is one substance and there's only one thing?
then that thing in and of itself is independent.
What does that mean?
Just it's not required. So a dependent thing is something that requires something else in order for it to exist. So for example, in order for you to exist, you require space, time, and matter. You are
So are you saying
dependent
that?
on
Are you saying that scientifically or philosophically?
It's both.
Are you sure?
So in order, like, you are comprised of atoms and DNA and things like that, right?
Yeah, you would say I'm caused by things like from a scientific point of view, but you'd say I'm contingent from like a philosophical point of view.
So I'm not using causation or like, so even in like ancient classical philosophy, causation and dependency were kind of interchangeable. What you're describing as caused is what Aristotle called efficient causation. Are you familiar with what's called the four causes?
No.
No, okay, not a problem. So almost, if you're not familiar with classical philosophy, you're not familiar with four causes, like that's almost normal. But what scientists mean by cause is what Aristotle meant by efficient cause. And then he also had material, formal, and end cause. And the example that's often used is you have a statue. The efficient cause is the sculpture or artist of the statue. The material cause is the marble or whatever material he's using to create the statue. The formal cause is the model or whatever he's basing the statue on. And then the end cause is the final result, what the artist is trying to push the material to end up looking like. So as you can see, that's a very different understanding of that scientific causation other than just, efficient cause. So cause, all of those four different causes are, except for maybe the end cause, are about dependency. The reason why the statue looks like the way that it does is because of the form. The reason why the statue is the way that it is because the material that made it up, and the reason why the statue exists in the first place is because of the artist who had the end goal in mind. So,
But
in
how does
classical
this play back into your main argument though?
Yeah. So in the main argument, I'm talking about dependency, whether that's a causal dependency or an ontological dependency. Like, it doesn't matter if something is either dependent or independent. So if something is dependent, that means that there is something external to it that provides explanation or reason for it being what it is. If something is independent, then that means there isn't anything external to explain what it is. So for example, a lot of people will say in response to, there has to be something that exists necessarily, that they'll say, well, what about the universe? That's perfectly fine, because at that point, the universe itself is independent. So the point that I'm getting at, and the second part of the argument, is just that there has to be at least one thing. There might be more, but at least one that's independent. We don't know what that independent thing is yet, but there has to be at least one thing that is independent.
I get what you're saying.
Then the next step of the argument is exploring, well, what enables something to be independent? Well, if something is independent, that means, like we said, it's not dependent on anything else in order for it to exist. And since we've established that there has to at least be one independent thing, we know that there is at least one thing that's independent that exists. And because it exists and it's not dependent on anything else, it must be sufficient itself for its own explanation.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like you're talking way above my head at this point.
And I very well might be.
No, not very well. You are.
I am in this constant struggle of trying to, and Lou knows it, and I've mentioned it before. I am
Oops.
part of the reason why I'm doing stuff like this is I am in the trying to work on a book. I do have like the skeleton of it already done as a Reddit post, but it's been sitting there for like 10 plus years,
Damn.
and it's been in my head for even longer than that. But what I'm trying to do is effectively start from this argument for God and do it in a way that people could, from any level, whether they're a PhD in philosophy or a lay
Me.
person like yourself, where
there
they
you go.
are able to follow along and see, okay, I see what he means by God. I see what he understands to be God, and I can see why he says this God exists, and keep following along until I get to Catholicism, and they're able to see the logical pathway to that. So it's still a work in progress, and I know that it's not perfect, but it's at least in a stage where I'm happy enough to present this part of the argument, at least.
Well, yeah, I can't pretend I fully understand what you're saying because I don't. Right? But when I said someone might just say to you, "There's only one thing," that would mean that there isn't anything that's dependent or independent. It's just the same thing, all the way up and all the
So
way
if
down.
if that one thing isn't, like, if there's only that one thing, by definition, because it's so the way that I'm doing this is, the way that I've worked these definitions is, dependency is the positive statement, and independency is the negation of dependency. So
Okay.
if this one thing isn't dependent on anything external because it's just that one thing, by definition, it's independent.
But when I say that one thing, I mean like that one thing entails everything, like
Yep.
us, all the
Yep.
universe.
Yep.
So what would be
That's perfectly
what
fine.
would be the basic point of that? Would you just then default to like a pantheist kind of position and say everything is God, or was it something more
So
nuanced than that?
so it's a little bit more nuanced. So basically what I'm doing is, so there's, at this part of the conversation, all I'm trying to get at is establishing first that there is this need for at least one thing to be independent, whether it's this one thing as you're describing it or something else. Once we've established the need for at least one independent thing, now we need to explore the identity of this one independent thing, because you posited this one thing as a what if, correct?
Well, yeah, because I mean I don't really know.
Yeah. So, and at this point in time, it's actually called in theology the gap problem.
Say again?
Is the gap problem, GAP. So like God of the gaps. Theologians are pretty easily able to get to this need of like, okay, there needs to be this independent thing. Like you and I have, once you understood it, you're like, okay, what if it's the one thing that entails all of reality? Why can't that be the independent thing? We can kind of get
What would it then be independent of though?
So that's what it means, is it like, it's not independent of something, it's just because it's not dependent on something, that means it's independent. So
This sounds like a crazy word game, I'm not gonna lie.
So the way that, so let me put it to you like this. If what if I told you I can divide everything in the universe into two categories?
Sure, I'm listening.
Everything is either a potato or not a potato.
Okay.
The way that negations work is basically the negation is all encompassing of everything that it's not. So if something is a potato, it belongs in the first category, and then if something is not a potato, it's in the second category.
Okay.
Because it's not the egg. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So the way that I've done the definitions is I have dependency means that it is in relation to something external.
Well, yeah, as I said, all right, I'm gonna have to listen to it. When you give it to the big boys, I'll listen to it then and see if I can make sense of
Okay.
it. But yeah,
But yeah, like,
that is
and
above like my level of understanding quite clearly. So I ain't got no beef with that. But it's
But
interesting.
yeah. So the goal of it is to get to the idea of there is something whose identity is its own existence, and then from there I'm able to continue moving on the rest of the conversation.
I feel like that statement in
But
itself is quite scary.
the
There's something that
independent
is
thing,
identity is just existence.
it's I'm not sure if it's scary because this is um yeah, I'm not sure, but I do know that a lot of people want to say like existence itself is the universe, and back to what I was saying about like the gap problem. I feel like people can, whether you're an atheist, theist, or anywhere in between, we can agree that there is some need for an independent thing, whether it's a brute contingent fact or some kind of necessary being or anything like that.
Well, I would take the
But
cop out on that one. I would take the cop out and say, look, that's everything we're saying is a human-centered point of view anyway. So we can think these things, but don't make it a reality. That would be my cop out personally. You know.
that's a fair one. I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with it, but it does depend on how one understands logic and whether um, one believes that sound arguments can lead to true conclusions, but that's a different conversation altogether. But most of the time, people are able to agree that there is some need for an independent thing, whether it's a brute contingency, a brute necessity, or whatever they want to say. The issue then gets in when we're trying to identify what that independent thing is, and that's the gap in the dialogue currently.
Yeah,
Is
that
no
makes
one's
sense. I can't fully track that level of kind of like philosophical speaking. Yeah, I don't know if I ever will, to be honest with you. But
well, I'm just to let you know, I understand, and I'm trying.
yeah, no. When you do figure it out at that high level, then also figure out a way to explain it to us simpletons, so we get it too.
Yeah.
That,
Well, that's what I'm saying is like I've been studying this for over 20 years, so I get most of the high level stuff. I'm never going to claim that I know all of it, but I know I've got a better understanding of it than most. But I also know that most people don't know the jargon, and I'm trying to figure out a way to bridge that gap.
maybe you just got to come up with like a really like a kind of physical analogy that just drives it home. That'd probably do it better.
The one that I like. The issue that I'm running into the most, though, is like the infinite regress. The thing with infinite regress is people are like infinite realities exist, and people think that's the same as an infinite regress when an infinite regress is something slightly different, but because they're so close in how they appear, people have a hard time understanding.
What is meant by infinite realities, though?
So, for example, if the universe has an infinite eternal past, like people bring up like the Grim Reaper paradox to try to say why there can't be an infinite eternal past.
I don't know the paradox.
So the paradox goes, Jack will die at when the first Grim Reaper shows up, but the first Grim Reaper can't show up until he gets orders from his previous Grim Reaper, and that Grim Reaper can't give the order till the Grim Reaper before him, and so on infinitely, to the point where the order is never given.
That's crazy.
So people will use that to try to argue as to why there can't be an infinite past. But the thing is that there's nothing like that type of infinite past isn't the same as the Reaper paradox, because the infinite past is closer to the number line, which is infinite, and the infinite number line is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that type of infinity. The Reaper paradox is problematic due to the fact that because there's no one to give the order, the order is never given. Like, each time you go to the Grim Reaper, it's deferring back a step to get the order, but that minus one step requires the next one, which requires the next one, which requires the next one.
But how does this relate
often,
to the infinite realities bit though?
yeah, so the infinite realities would be the number. No, infinite infinities in reality is what I said. Not necessarily like there's an infinite realities of like a multiverse type thing.
Aha, that's what you meant. Okay, because that's what
Yeah,
I thought.
just
I
like
thought you meant there was like infinite realities.
no. Just like where the universe or reality itself is infinite, that's fine. That's like that isn't going to be an issue. What is the issue is because when we're looking at reality and we're asking why does X exist? Oh, X exists because of Y. Well, why does Y exist? It exists because of this, and it exists, and then it keeps going back infinitely.
Well, what actually solves that though?
So what actually solves it is something that is self-explanatory or self-grounding or axiomatic. So the difference between, like, say, hey, if I ask you, hey, what is 2, you don't need to refer to 1 or 3 in order to explain what 2 is. Even though there's always a number before and there's always a number after each number on the number line. So that type of infinity is fine because each number is self-referential, even if there's an infinite number of them. So each moment of reality is self-referential while still having a first moment or a prior moment and a post moment. But then the question, we're moving away from the question of temporal ordering, and now we're moving into the question of being, of why there's something rather than nothing. We've established that there has to be something because it's impossible for nothing to turn into something. So then the question is, well, that then must mean that there's something that is its own reason for being. Because if we're just constantly moving the explanation back, there never is an explanation. It's often called the homunculus fallacy, and that's really what the infinite regress is trying to describe.
Fair play. I mean, again, it's a bit beyond me. I'm not gonna lie.
Infinite regress is going to be the hardest hurdle that I'm going to have to overcome in this explanation. I completely understand.
At least without like typically someone just saying you're just gonna come up with a brute fact and you end up back where you started, kind of thing.
And honestly, if they say, "Hey, you need to come up with a brute fact," I'm happy. I can work with that.
Okay, so you're trying to figure out a smarter way to go, like beyond that kind of basic way.
It's more of like I need to get someone to agree that there is something that it doesn't require an external explanation, whether they call it a brute fact or an independent thing or whatever that is. Like, I don't care what they call it, as long as they agree that there's something that doesn't require anything outside of it or doesn't have anything outside of it to explain it, I'm okay with
Yeah, I guess. It's a lot.
It is a lot, and I'm trying to have it where it's not like I did have an original argument and then I scrapped it because I was like, nope, there's too many premises, I'm gonna lose people. And then when I was retrying it, it was still getting into a lot of premises, and the only way I could figure out was, let me break it into parts. That way then I can say, all right, do you agree that something always had to exist? If they say no, then I can start.
So you've got like a flow chart kind of thing happening.
Kind of. It's more of like, premise 1, something always existed. Oh, you disagree? Here's my justification for it. Premise 2, everything is either dependent, everything is independent, or everything, or there's a mixture of the two in all of reality. Oh, you disagree with that? Here's the justification for that premise. Like, in reality, the argument itself is 4 premises, but each premise, because I know that each premise is contested in some capacity, I have justifications for each premise. And that's the 4 parts.
Fair. Fair. Again, I have no problem with accepting that I don't fully understand what's going on here. No problem with that at all.
But yeah, and it wasn't my intention to come up and
No.
overwhelm or anything like that.
Again, it's. I'm not talking to you as if we're having an argument. I'm more learning from what
Yeah.
you're actually explaining to me. So it's not like, you know.
I do have the full thing on my TikTok. I believe it's my most recent video. I meant to pin it. I'll do that as soon as I finish up here. But I do have the full argument. It is like 7 minutes long, and as I try to provide a little bit more justification as I go through the premises. But if you want to hear the whole thing in full, it is out there.
Alright. I'll drop you a follow right now, bro.
But
I'll
yeah,
drop you a
that was
follow.
it. I was just... Thank you.
All I can say is try and get it to where a layman and an ADHD idiot like me can get it. Try and get it there. I know it's a lot to request, but
no, that is my goal. Like, so don't feel like you're putting a lot on me. It's what I'm already putting on myself.
yeah, because to even to begin to understand what you're saying, you got to have a lot of background knowledge of philosophy, anyways. And it's just
and I'm trying
it's
to
not the most
avoid,
accessible thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid that. That's why, like, technically, when I say dependent and independent, I really should be using contingent and necessary.
That's kind of
But
what I
even
heard.
yeah,
It's kind of what I heard. But I mean, the fuck do I know?
But even still, like, the contingent and necessary I'm using is the classical understanding of the terms, which isn't the modern understanding. So even then, like, if I was to speak with people unfamiliar with classical philosophy but familiar with the modern one,
Yeah,
we'd be talking past each other. So I'm trying to
For sure.
find
but again, like
epistemically.
you're not talking to somebody that knows philosophy at that level anyway. I understand it in the realm that we're in, how these words are used by common people. So that's how we're using them for the most part, but
Yeah.
not in the actual academic sense of it. You know?
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do, is where people outside of the academic realm can understand it and follow it, and that's always going to be a little tricky, but
I mean, it's not.
Hey,
It's
that-
not.
that-
You
that's
don't
my
have
goal.
to. You don't have to do that. If you actually aim for the top and you actually manage to convince or take out the top guys in that field, there's no reason for you to pay attention to any of the peasants at all. Really, you just do it that way. So
honestly, but
you don't
it's
have
the
to care.
peasants it's the peasants that I find the most interesting, because they've got, like, what is it? There is this thing of the master swordsman does not fear the second rank swordsman. He fears the lowest,
Why is that?
because the lowest doesn't know the proper rules of engagement, so it's just going to do something random that catches the master off guard and kills the master.
I guess, yeah. From that point of view, that sounds kind of crazy.
It sounds crazy at first, but it's like, oh no, that's actually valid. Like,
In the world, that
When
does
you
make
act-
a lot of sense, though. It does.
but yeah, like, I was mostly just curious on, like,
I think you should
You know,
also you should
you're-
keep an eye on that as well, though. In terms of like, if people, what that kind of says is like, there's a group of people who are playing in this formalized game over there amongst themselves, kind of thing. But there are people who exist outside of that formalized game, and if people from outside of the formalized game figure out that you guys are like playing this rigged game, it f's up the rigged game.
yeah,
Does that make sense?
and yeah, no, absolutely, like,
So it's kind of dangerous,
But-
but it's not actually. It
Or-
wouldn't change anything in your world. So it would only, it'd just be an entertainment factor. I think, you know, it wouldn't change
But-
anything.
yeah, no, absolutely, and, like, part of the reason that I'm, like, so focused on, like, trying to help people that are not philosophically inclined and everything else, like, my mother told me, ever since I was like 4 years old, I wanted to be a priest. Like, I was already saying at 4
Priest, you know.
to be a priest.
Damn,
I
man,
did
she
get-
betrayed you.
Well, no, like,
I'm joking.
I wanted that, and I did actually enter seminary for 2.5 years before leaving seminary. Didn't lose my faith or anything, but, you know, felt called out of seminary. But I distinctly remember at 6 years old of like, hey, if I am going to be a priest, I better know the faith so well in order to help the people that I'll be leading, which are going to be, those who aren't familiar with the faith. I've never lost that drive of, even after leaving the priesthood of or seminary, of like, hey, I want to make sure that I'm able to explain it to the common everyday man.
I hear what you're saying, but your actions say something different. You know why I think that? Yeah.
What's that?
Because for you to pursue like theology at such an intellectual level, you're really more deeper into philosophy than actual theology for the sake of it. As a layman speaking, or just an outside kind of opinion, you're saying essentially that just these set of beliefs and this faith isn't good enough. I need to intellectualize it, and I need to be able to prove to this class of people that exist over here that disbelieving is more than just disbelieving. So essentially, you've kind of abandoned the common man already in that run, because the common man is like, I don't need to over intellectualize these things. I believe for emotional reasons anyway. I'm not using rationale for this. Right? So you've kind of abandoned the common man already.
So my approach is not like, if the common man, like if the common believer doesn't want rationality, that's fine. Like, I disagree with their decision, but that's fine. But there are individuals in the common man who want the rationality, but they don't know how to go about it.
But what do you think they would want it for, though?
So, like, for me, studying theology is how I pray. It's how I get closer to God.
It's a bit suspicious, not gonna lie. Bit suspicious.
But it is for me. Like, that's my spirituality. And there's individuals who want that as well. And there's others who don't want it, and that's fine. And my goal has never been to convince others.
But I think that has very serious like implications institutionally, though. To be able to say that like you're fighting on behalf of the faith, but you're trying to do it intellectually. I think that's more to do with institution than just general believer or disbeliever. Let me be
very clear then. I'm not trying to fight on behalf of the institution or on behalf of the faith or anything like that.
You would be, though.
All I'm doing is being a resource.
I hear it for its own sake, yeah. For its own sake, I guess.
So, yeah. So So there's a saying that's attributed to Saint Francis of Assisi, and that goes: "Preach the gospel at all times. If necessary, use words."
What? That's pretty clever, but what does he actually mean by that?
So what he means by that, if you actually look in the Christian text of how Jesus preached his gospels,
you say by action?
Effectively, yeah. Like what he did first was he healed the people. Every time you look at him, where teaching the people, it's always after he's healed them. After he's healed them and taken care of their needs, and they're ready to listen, he only preaches to those that are ready to listen. And once he's preached to those that are ready to listen, those that remain after that preaching, who have further questions on it, that's when he teaches.
There's two sides to that, though. There's a good side to what you're saying, just like the overall view, but then there's also a level of exploitation there. Do you know?
I won't deny that.
Because
that there's
you're
people
saying,
who have,
in order to get this message across, I need to fulfill a need. By opening that doorway of the need, now I can get my message through. So
I can understand what you're saying there, but it's kind of like, so let me put it to you like this: would you much rather a soup kitchen feed the homeless after they preach the gospel, or would you much rather them feed the homeless and then say, hey, by the way, since you're here,
I'd rather they didn't do that at all.
Yeah, well, no, but it's just like, hey, if you want to stay, we're about to go have a Bible study with the volunteers over here. And if they don't want to join the Bible study, that's fine.
See, like I said, there's quite a real distinct uncomfortable history behind that kind of view.
Oh, I agree. What I was
saying,
if you was going to say
to be charitable for the sake of being charitable is one thing, right? But to be charitable in a way to advance your other agenda is another thing.
So what I was trying to get at more of is the way that it's often abused is, hey, where they hold the charity hostage.
Well, yeah, it's like it's in the same way I used the analogy from the guy earlier on. Like, why do people go to gods in hard times? Because they're in a psychologically weakened state already. Now, why do people go to these institutions? Because they're usually in some kind of weakened state economically, psychologically, even health wise. So to pray. I'm not saying you're actively praying on that to get the gospel taught to them, but it's a direct avenue for like the the progression of the church's agenda at large through that need.
Yeah.
Rather than just
Yeah,
saying,
and-
actually, on a human level, can I fulfill that need without me imparting my ideology on the way?
So allow me to clarify a little bit then, because the point that I was trying to make is like when the church does like the food drives and things like that. Yes, it's through the church, and the people know that it is through the church. And when I was talking about like, hey, there's a Bible study going on, I was trying to use that to convey that like anything that has to involve the faith is done after the fact and only after the person has expressed interest in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. I'm just giving you like a side critique, right? That's all. I get what you're saying. I do agree that your philosophy should be displayed in your works. I totally agree with that, whether you're Christian or whatever. So
Yeah.
I do agree with that part.
And the point that I was getting at is more of not that this should be done as a way to like it should be done for its own means. Like that's it should be doing the charity for charity's own sake. I do agree with you on that there.
If possible, right?
and
If possible. But humans are humans,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Humans are
And I do
humans.
agree that that there are moments in history and has been moments in history where it's been exploited, and it's horrible when it has been exploited in that way. But to get back to what I was saying about like the way that I approach it and the way that I view like my studies and everything else, like it's not to convince or bring another person. Like my whole purpose isn't to bring anyone to the faith. All I'm trying to do is like if someone says, hey, XYZ is what you guys believe, I am informed enough to be able to say, well, no, if you actually look at this document, this document, this document, this document, you can see written in plain black and white letters that we don't actually believe what you claim we believe.
Ooh, that I don't think I'd get you there though, right? What is written versus what is carried out is completely different, isn't it?
Oh, I agree that what's written and what's carried out are two different things.
And the problem is interpretation of what's written too.
So, well, the thing is that for the Catholic Church, anything that you have to follow is written down, whether it's in the Bible or in the magisterial documents of the church.
You might be right about that, but like we just said, people are people. So if you was to look at the institution of the Catholic Church, you would consider all of its members representations of it.
Not
In the same
No,
way, if I was to look at Labour as a government in the UK or the Republicans as a government in America, all of its constituents are representatives of it. Whether they follow it to
So-
the T or just they take bits and pieces of it, they're still representatives of it.
so in like they are representatives of the church, but they are not representatives of, or they're not necessarily a representative of what's being taught and believed under the creed.
Yeah, but then, like you can't kind of have it both ways, because then you get that whole like no true Scotsman thing. It's like, oh yeah, they're not really Christians.
Well, that's what I was getting at. Like, there's
They're not
so
really
there's a
Republicans.
there's a difference there, is what I was getting at. Like, there's an equivocation taking place. So, like, if someone is baptized under the Catholic faith and professes the Apostolic and Nicene Creed, then yes, they are Catholic.
Yeah.
But that's different from what the Catholic faith professes one must believe.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. But like, reality is the reality, you know. You could be like,
all I'm saying,
You could say that for any grouping or gathering of people. You could say like, yeah, here's the core philosophy that they report or they purport to be functioning from, but then we actually look at the actions of the people from that group, and they may not represent those core, values.
Yeah.
But they are no less members of that group, are they not?
So what I would say then is you would judge those members on how well they uphold the values they claim to uphold, but you don't judge the values by those not upholding the values.
Why not?
So if someone claims to value truth and they are a liar, does that mean that we should disavow truth because that person lies?
No.
Because them lying is not representative of telling the truth.
So let's think about it like this though, right? If you was to say, so you got a group of 10 people, they all like purport to follow the same thing, but only 2 of the 10 people actually follow it to the T, and because they follow it so well, they're shining examples that overshadow like the other 8 people. So the other 8 people get to operate very like badly, but they can always point to the 2 people who do it right and say, but look, no, we're like those 2 people. Those 2 people represent us, but the 8 don't represent us,
So so in that situation, what I would say is what needs to happen is the allowance of those 8 not being following it permitted within the organization. So that's the first thing that we need to establish. And then the second thing that needs to be established is if those 8 are not upholding what's been established and their inclusion in the group, or let me rephrase it. If part of the tenets is to exclude those who don't follow the tenets, yet those 8 are still in that group, then the 2 aren't actually following through on the tenets to a T.
Yeah.
Now, the point that I was getting at, though, is you can absolutely call out those 8. You can absolutely hold those 8 accountable, and you should.
Maybe from within the institution, but the rest of the world isn't looking at it like that. Like, say you're all wearing the same uniform. The rest of the world isn't able to differentiate between the 8 and the 2.
So, at that point, the question then becomes... So, like in the case, but that's the situation is like, if those 8 aren't following the institution to a T, if you look at almost any institution, and this is the case in the Catholic Church, in fact, all Protestant denominations are technically heretical movements of Catholicism.
That's rough.
Because
rough.
they claim to be a part of the Christian faith. But the church says, no, you're not following the tenets of us, so until you agree to follow our tenets, you're not a part of our faith.
Maybe as organised groupings, but individuals, like, across the world, there are so many people who, like, profess to be Catholics, but may not be following it to the T, like you described. Some might even point out, like, popes of the past. Are you, as an individual follower of Catholicism, ever going to be able to say, no, like, I'm more Christian than the Pope, or the Pope's not as Christian as me? Are you ever going to be able to do that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of a rough situation to be in.
Well, no, so that's what the saints are. Not all saints were popes. The saints were those that followed the Catholic faith to its ultimate end.
Alright. Anyways, CT, I want to eat some pizza. I can't even lie. so it's interesting as this is.
Yeah, I got pizza coming in like 15 minutes too. So.
And look, I'm legitimately gonna eat pizza, right? We're not talking no Epstein type shit, right? But it is very interesting what you're saying. As you can see, I'm probably more interested in the second half of the conversation than the first half of the conversation. So I'm not really not a big fan of analytical philosophy. No, I'm just not saying I'm not a big fan. I just don't know it, and I can't appreciate something that I don't understand in that kind of way.
And that's fair. As far as like critiques of the Catholic faith and things like that, what I will say, like, that is a little bit outside of my wheelhouse, mostly because I agree with the critiques 99% of the time.
But you got to get in the dirt, bro, because you want to help the common man, and that's where the common man is.
Oh yeah, no, and that's fine. The thing is that I'm not going to claim that like the people in the Catholic faith are perfect. And I'm able to have a conversation with people to help them understand the difference between the person and the faith itself. But you know, like you said, that's a whole other long conversation. You got food to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. We all got food to eat, god damn it.
Yep. Yep.
That's right. No, but
Yeah,
it was
good
actually
one.
dope to talk to you, bro.
Yep.
I've seen you talk to some G's in the past, so I'm appreciating you even gracing my stream like that. You and Lou, top dons, and
Appreciate
Goatman low key. No, so yeah, it's like that's a holy trinity on its own. Think about it. Think about it, boys, girls. Think about it. Plans there. All right, but I am gonna go now. So I appreciate you guys.
Yep.
All right, take it easy. See, can we actually get off the stream? There we go. Boom.